welcome to the first ever Dart Show watch-along live here at the Blackpool Winter Gardens for night 6 of the Betfred World Matchplay. What a venue, what a tournament. We're going to guide you through all the action from the 2 quarterfinals this evening, and it's not just going to be me doing it. I've got 2 esteemed guests from the world of darts. Joining me to my right is 2005 champion, former world #1, Colin Lloyd. Welcome. And of course, joining him is PDC commentator Chris Murphy. Gentlemen, welcome to Blackpool.
Evening, it's an absolute pleasure to be here as always, and what a tournament it's been so far.
Lloyd, it has been incredible. We've seen shock after shock after shock. It's been a pretty crazy tournament, hasn't it, from start to finish so far?
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, who would have thought we'd have got to the quarter-final stage and we haven't got a former champion left in it? But what a lineup we've got left, and a very, very deserving winner will be crowned Sunday night.
It is the 30th staging of this iconic tournament. We are going to have a 12th name on the Phil Taylor Trophy. You know what it takes to lift this trophy. In fact, we've got the VT of your 170. If we could pull up that VT for you to talk us through your winning moments at the Betfred World Matchplay.
170. To do it with style, 60-60 pull. 60-60 pull. Bullseye for Lloyd to win.
And I think that was either the second or third time that week I'd taken out the 170. So I thought, if I hit a plumb treble 20, I've got a chance. And I have to say, I was squeaking a little bit at the time because I'd taken a big lead and John started coming back at me. And we all know we have a break after 5 legs. And if John had taken that leg, I wouldn't have enjoyed that break, put it that way. But listen, I got the job done, and I'm a very proud former world matchplay champion.
Let me explain how the PDC watch-along works here on the official PDC YouTuber page. You can see this sidebar here. That will have a scoring widget displaying where the darts are going throughout the action. You've probably seen it on the PDC website at some time if you've been watching remotely. We're aiming to be your sort of second screen experience, hopefully, here, guiding you through the action. There's a small delay on YouTube, so if you do want to watch live along with us, reacting to all the 180s going in, the big checkouts, then you might need to pause your telly ever so slightly, try and mirror up the action. But fear not, if you are watching at home, just watching on the YouTube channel, we'll be bringing you replays when we can, live action. We'll have the winning quarterfinalist from our first game joining us, and that first quarterfinal is Gurney versus Joe Cullen. A huge match to start us off.
Yeah, massive match. Gurney has probably been the standout player of the tournament so far, and it's form that has come from nowhere, really. If you look back at the last couple of years, he's been sliding down the rankings, threatening to disappear at the top 32 maybe next year. But the levels that he's produced here have been up there with anybody, beating 2 players that are expected to beat him in Rob Coss and Gary Anderson.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I was chatting earlier, Lewis, to Darryl. I was in the building earlier and Darryl was in there practicing. And we know he's a former World Grand Prix champion. It was interesting to hear him say that he's actually been practicing double starts. He's been practicing double start to go in, trying to score as heavy as he could, then to get the finishing. And I think we've noticed this week, Murph, haven't we? His finishing's been absolutely superb.
I mean, are you a bit surprised by the sort of resurgence in form from Gurney? As you say, it's not been amazing in the last couple of years from him, but we know that he can do it on the big stage.
Yeah, I mean, what Lloyd has just said about his finishing, he's up there around 66-70% for the tournament. That's incredible. But I had a chat with him after he won his last game, and he said that he's been putting in the work. So while we're all surprised, we only see the finished product. We don't see the hard yards that get put in behind the scenes. And Darryl was saying that he's actually sick of not performing, sick of being an also-ran in the tournaments. He believes that he's got another major in him. He believes he's got another spell of success in him, and we might be seeing the green shoots now of the seeds that he's planted before.
But in your role as a PDC commentator, and you, Lloyd, you work on some of the events behind closed doors, some of the ones that people don't see on TV, obviously, unless they're PDC TV subscribers. But have you seen anything in those tournaments that suggests that this was coming?
Not really, no. In truth, yeah, I really didn't know where it had come from, but his level has been up there with anybody. He played Gary Anderson, who we have seen signs that something was coming. He averaged 103 in that match, by the way. Darryl played like Gary wasn't even there.
He did, yeah. And let's not forget, fellas, not just the Gary Anderson game, his first round game, he played absolutely superb as well. And I did sort of stand there. I get on great with Darryl and his family. He's a lovely lad. And I've been one of these people that's chatted to him over time, and I did actually say to him, have you got a little bit lazy? Have you not been practicing? He said, no, I'm practicing, I said, yeah, but are you? Don't tell me you are and you're not, because you're going like that. It's time for you to dig your heels in. And he's dug his heels in, and listen, he's still in. He's got a tough match again tonight in Joe Cullen. But listen, he knows how to win a major, fellas. He's a former World Grand Prix champion, former Players' Championship champion. You don't get handed them titles. Darryl knows how to win. He knows he's playing well. And when you're playing that well, you don't care who's being put in front of you.
Well, as you can see on your screen here, we want you to interact with us. Ideally on Twitter, that's the way to do it. If you use the hashtag WMDart or TDS Watch Along, that is TDS, not tedious. I know we probably branded that a bit wrong.
We'll try and make sure it's not that. But
you know, we'll try and make it as entertaining as possible. But as you see, we've got tweets coming through. Ronan here on Twitter says, Cullen v Clayton final is what I would love to see. Well, we haven't spoken about Joe Cullen yet. He's got it in him to go all the way, hasn't he?
He showed it against Gerwyn Price, didn't he, at the end of that match? It looked like it was going to be another one of those glorious defeats for Joe Cullen. He seems to be a player that seems to be remembered most of the matches that he lost. The Anderson match here, the Van Gerwen match at the World Championship. So it's probably really good for him to come out on the right end of a performance like that and give him a lot of confidence.
Gary here predicts that our opening quarter-final is going to be won by Joe Cullen, 16-10. Before we get underway, lads, can we have a quick prediction of who's going to win this opening quarter-final?
I'll let you go first. You're the expert.
Well, that could be argued. I just think, no disrespect to Joe, Joe's thrown some great stuff. But like we said, we all agreed that he had that little bit of a lull. Darryl hasn't really had a lull. He's just been constant. So I'm going to go Darryl 16-13.
I'm going to, not just for the sake of it, I genuinely think Cullen will win the match. I think in this format, now it is first to 16 legs, he can go missing for a few legs and still recover it. So I think we might see, I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to go exactly the same scoreline, but the other way.
Well, the fans on Twitter certainly going with you, Murph. It's a resounding 72% think that Joe Cullen is going to win this opening quarter-final and move through to the semi-finals once again here at the Matchplay.
The head-to-head record as well, Joe Cullen leads it 15-5. Quite surprising for 20 matches between the pair of them, Cullen to lead it so much. So yeah, I think that might come into play as well. In fact, Cullen's won, I think, 8 of the last 10 matches, and he's averaged more than Daryl Gurney in every single one of them.
Just a reminder that you can also get in contact with us via the comments on the official YouTube page. We just hopefully you can send us in your questions for these two gentlemen here. Don't ask me anything. I know nothing about darts, but these two.
Well, who do you think's going to win? You haven't told us that.
This thing is not a chair, it's a fence that I like to sit on, okay? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, unfortunately for me, it's slightly more comfortable than a fence. I mean, a bit too much. I don't want you falling asleep, Lloyd.
It's down to me and you then, Murph. Yeah, the best man win.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in a minute, the players are going to walk on, and we will hear from both of them. We spoke to them just before when they arrived, before they got into the practice room. Before we get there, gentlemen, just tell me, Lloydie, what is it about Blackpool that's so high pressure that it means more, doesn't it? A lot of players find this tournament as their favourite, don't they?
Yeah, they do, yeah. I mean, you play all year round to get to the Worlds. We always know the Worlds at the end, but it's summertime now. Well, it's sort of summertime with a bit of rain and a bit of sunshine.
A bit of rain.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's this the ambience of the Winter Gardens and whatever, and it's just such a great stage, and you've got all the crowd sitting on floor level, but then you've got these wonderful balconies all the way round, and it creates such an atmosphere, and it makes you tingle. I still tingle now, when I come in. I haven't played this since about 2014, but I love walking in it. I love coming in, and it's looking at everyone. It's like holiday season, but you can tell they're all excited about that. You see people out in the streets. Who do you think's going to win it, Lloyd? Who do you think's going to win it? And yeah, it's just a great play, and to have this, we all know the Worlds is the biggest, but in all players' eyes, this is the second biggest. And if you can win this, if you can be crowned World Matchplay champion, you must have been doing something right that week.
Well, you've been asked on the street a number of times. We're going to ask you right here. Prediction: who is going to win the World Matchplay for the 30th staging of the event?
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
Daryl Gurney.
Big claim. Murph?
I'm edging towards Luke Humphries. I know he's a favourite at the moment. I actually thought he had a better chance before he became favourite. I'm not sure how he's going to handle that pressure, but I'm going to stick with. I thought he was a good outsider. I'm going to stick with that.
But his side of the draw really opened up with the big names dropping out, didn't it?
Yeah, remarkable that we saw all those shots back to back to back. Michael Van Gerwen losing to Brendan Dolan was an enormous shock, but you've got to think about the other shots that happened back to back. Price and Michael Smith the other night, both losing. And it's just remarkable. Peter Wright is probably most people weren't expecting him to do that much.
Yeah, all of a sudden an opportunity opened up for Peter Wright, but we saw what happened yesterday evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, like, Luke Humphries is a lucky boy to be in the tournament still. When you used to watch Phil Taylor, I'm not sure about you, Lloyd, I'm sure you won at a canter, but most players who win a tournament, they have that one match where they could have been out.
Yeah.
Maybe Luke Humphries has had his.
Yeah, very much. Mine was my first round match, so I could have gone out first round. But, you know, like you said, Murphy, is that the wobble? That's the wobble gone now. He can just focus and concentrate on trying to become the Betfred World Matchplay champion. But it's interesting to see where we look at these quarter-finalists. Daryl Gurney's got 2 majors under his belt. All right, he hasn't been playing that great, but he's shown his intentions these first 2 rounds. He's the outsider at 12 or 14 to 1. He is the one, the total outsider. And it begs belief, really, for me. I think to myself, we know how well he can play, and he seems to be doing it this week, yet he's the outsider. And that's for me why I think I'm tipping towards him, because no one's talking about him.
Well, when he won his 2 majors previously, he was rather unfancied then, and he proved just how good he can be on his day.
Yeah, but I mean, and also like what we've chatted about, like with Luke Humphries, he's had his dodgy game, as we say. You look at Daryl, when he played Gary Anderson, he played that well, and Gary Anderson was still hitting it at him. He was still at him, and he did not buckle. I mean, it sounds like I'm Daryl. Listen, we're going to see what's happened. Whatever happens, we've got 8 great players left in this event who are all capable of being crowd champion.
What we haven't mentioned is Johnny Curtin. He's won more TV titles than the rest of them. He's probably the most experienced at winning, yet no one really fancied him. So yeah, look, at the end of the day, nobody knows. And this tournament has been unpredictable from the beginning.
And he looked really good last night. I thought he looked really good.
Well, it seems by the atmosphere ramping up behind us that the action is set to get underway. John McDonald, as you may be able to hear, is about to do his thing. So while the players walk on, we'll play our interviews from the 2 players, the 2 opening quarter-finalists from earlier today.
You've knocked out 2 former champions to be here. The draw's not been made too easy for you, has it?
No, I mean, for you to get this far in Blackpool, nobody's easy. And I mean, everybody's probably looking at me as the easiest player because I'm obviously the lowest ranked player here. But yeah, no, I mean, you got to be on your A game to beat whoever you beat here, and to beat 2 previous champions, especially in Rob and Gary. So yeah, I mean, obviously I would. Rob won whenever he won it a couple of years ago. He beat me in the semi, so that was my chance to make the final. But yeah, no, looking forward to it. As I say, we're all great players, top 32 in the world anyway, before it starts. So yeah, proud to be in this tournament once again for the 8th year, I think.
Ah, good memory. As you said, you've knocked out some of those top seeds, but the draw's pretty much been blown open, wide open.
Yeah, but we're all that good nowadays anyway. I mean, don't get me wrong, the top 4, top 5, the most consistent out of all of us. But at that one given day, we can beat anybody. So, as I say, this tournament is wide open. It's like saying, now I played really well against Gary. I could play the same now and get beat, or I could play the same and win on a tiebreaker. So it's just one of them things. We're all, this time of the year now, from here on in, it's TVs every week nearly. So we're all pushing ourselves to the max, practicing flat out and getting everything right.
Well, there we have Daryl Gurney. His thoughts ahead of his quarter-final. I mean, he seems confident, but first, let's hear from Joe Cullen what he has to say.
So Joe, looking back to that unbelievable round 2 tie against Gezi, how much do you feel like you deserve to be here now?
Yeah, I think at one point it looked like I was going to throw it away, but managed to get through in the end. So it was, I think tonight's a different sort of proposition. It's, you know, a longer format and obviously a different proposition with Daryl because he's a little bit more less aggressive, shall we say, than Gezi. But yeah, I'll be up for the game definitely.
Well, you didn't look intimidated. You were pretty you're enjoying the crowd, lapping it up there, celebrating. How do you manage your emotions in times like that?
Yeah, I've sort of learned as I've carried on playing. You know, early on in my career, I was maybe got sort of engrossed in unnecessary things, and it cost you in the end. So I think I'd like to think I'm a little bit more experienced now. Okay,
well, in the last 3 years, you've been knocked out in round 2 by the eventual winner. Is this your best chance, do you think? Yeah, obviously. I think it's all over social media with the big 5 going out. So I think everyone within the competition that's left in will fancy the chances, and I'm no different to them. Okay, well, how much do you enjoy this tournament? Yeah, it's great. It's a little bit cooler this year as well. It's normally sort of 30, 40 degrees outside, so it's nice to have it a little bit more bearable here. But yeah, this is the tournament that everybody looks forward to. As soon as the calendar comes out, that's the one that everyone looks to. Why is that, do you think? I don't know, I just think it's the venue, and I don't think I've heard one bad word said about it. You know, people have different opinions on different venues, but this one is one that everybody seems to like. Okay, have you got your family supporting you here? Yeah. Flies? Yeah. That was the one from Gary Anderson a few years ago. He's back. Good luck now. Yeah. My family. This is the first one that I've been coming up to. It's landed a bit different this year because obviously normally the kids are broken up from school and it's a little bit easier, but they're at school this week, so I've said they've been to school today, so I said they can have Friday off, but hopefully I don't get fined.
Well, there we have the thoughts of Joe Cullen and Gary Partington speaking to him, being attacked by a fly. I bet Joe Cullen's thinking, not again.
Yeah, nightmares for Cullen here. That's happened before, hasn't it? Flygate when he lost to Gary Anderson, missing match starts as well. I think actually that year, Joe Cullen thought it might have been his tournament, so maybe he's thinking that again after that victory against Gerwyn Price. The 2 players have entered the stage, 2 iconic walk-ons. Lloydie, you've been in that position. What are you thinking? How are you feeling standing at the end when you've got 2,500 fans screaming at you?
Joe, what, Lewis, seriously, Lewis, Chris. Joe, the worst thing about all of that is standing there waiting for John to call your name. You just want to get up there. You've done the hard work, you've been in the practice room, you put in the hours, you know you're playing well, you've got through the first couple of rounds and you think, right, just let me back up there, just want to get up there. And they both look very relaxed. Joe looks very relaxed, so he's smiling away at the crowd, still singing and chanting his song. And listen, in like 30 seconds time, the business head will come on and it'll be all out attack.
Do you take anything from that, like how players look on the walk on the stage? Do you get a sense of who's looking relaxed, who might be nervous?
Joe, what? I never really looked at it. You just got to worry about yourself, you know. And you know, if someone looked tense and then all of a sudden they go, you think, oh, you know, he looks a bit tense, and then all of a sudden he goes up and blasts in an 11-darter first, and you think perhaps he ain't as tense, you know what I mean? And but listen. Might be a little dodgy start by the looks of it by the pair of them, get the feelers, but listen, first 3 darts are out of the way. Time to go to business now, fellas, time to go to work.
As you can see on screen there, we've got the details of our PDC Ultimate Predictor. I believe it's closed for this evening, but we've had 15 winners so far that get entered into a prize pool for a grand draw for an ultimate prize. As a darts fan, it's all sorts going on. Win a lesson with a player, you know, stuff like that. Dream stuff for a darts fan. Make sure you get involved tomorrow. It's quite simple. You predict who's going to have the highest checkout of the tournament, the most 180s, and what that checkout will be. And that enters your name into the prize pool. Couldn't be simpler. And for a darts fan, to meet your legend like yourself, Lloyd, it could be you that they pick.
I think most people call me a leg end these days, mate, not a legend.
There's only one checkout as well, isn't there, Lloyd?
Of course there is. True. The jaws, the big jaws. They keep calling it the big fish. I know they want to say the big jaws, but listen, I'll tell you what, Luke, just a little minute there. You asked me a question earlier. What is it about this place? Listen to the way they're all chanting, and you know they're just dart fans. They love it. And as we see Joe there hit the first maximum in this first quarter final. If you can't feed off that buzz and that noise, go and find a different sport. That's what I say.
Well, we're talking about most 180s. These 2 are prolific 180 hitters in their, on their heyday, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, Cullen 83 for the first leg. Just doing a little bit of a Humphreys from last night. First start, dodgy, but he's rescued it and taken it. And
confident start from Joe. It's important, isn't it, to get that first leg on the board?
Most importantly, it's a breaker throw. I know we don't call it a proper break unless he holds his throw, but that will give him a lot of confidence knowing that he's gone in, snuck in a decent first leg and taken the throw from Darryl.
Just how important is it to settle when you get on stage? As you say, you've been hyped up by the atmosphere, and Joe there had the whole crowd singing his walk-on song for a minute while he's doing his practice darts.
Yeah.
Surely that still gets the heart racing. How do you bring it down a little?
That's sometimes the advantage of walking second. Like I said, you could see Joe, he was grinning like a Cheshire cat, you know, and so he was loving it. So you could actually see that he was a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
And the camera panned to Daryl, and he looked a little bit more stern, and so maybe he's thinking to himself, listen, I've been doing a proper professional job. I'm going to keep my head and my mind into doing that.
Nobody wants to be walking first when Daryl Gurney is on the occupy, because his walk-on takes so long, doesn't it? It goes on forever.
Yeah,
Have you ever had that where you've sort of been stood on the stage and your opponent's just milking it and it's taking ages and you kind of want to push them off the stage?
I think the worst one, Murph, that I ever had was obviously you used to hear the crack and the thunder and lightning, and you think, God, I've got him again. All that. But no, listen, at the end of the day, fellas, I've been in that position before. You've got to stay professional. You've got to stay relaxed. Just go up. It's easy for me to say now because I'm here, but go up and relax and enjoy it. Go up and enjoy it. You might not get an opportunity to play in a quarter-final of the second biggest major on the PDC calendar. So just go up there and try and do the job.
Murph, just talk us through what's going on in this second leg as Joe Cullen approaches the winning line again in the second leg.
Yeah, 52 to double his lead, and it'll be a perfect start for Joe Cullen if he does. Big 20, double 16, 2 legs running, hit it perfectly. We were talking about Daryl Gurney's finishing, but Cullen already looks like he's settled.
Yeah, he's certainly settled before Daryl. Daryl doesn't seem to have got his scoring boots on yet. He hasn't got anywhere near a finish yet, but that might all change in this leg.
Yeah, Daryl Gurney. When he gets the scoring right, he's massive, but Cullen seems to be getting that first start lovely.
Yeah.
It's a 180.
Yeah.
And quickly here, we know the crowd can turn and pick a favourite all of a sudden. That does switch throughout the game. Basically, whoever is behind, the underdog, because they just want to see more darts, don't they? They love the darts here in Blackpool.
The thing in Joe's favour is that I'm not saying they've felt sorry for him over the years, but he's had an opportunity like this before, like Murph said about earlier. And unfortunately, he didn't get through that time. So sometimes the crowd think, we'd like to see him do it this time. And he's doing it in a way that he's still playing well. He's not just going to get handed it because the crowd want him to have it. The crowd appreciate good darts, and you know Joe's providing that at this moment in time. He's looking for another max. Wow, go on.
3 already for Joe Cullen. That throw as well, it's so relaxed, it's so casual, it's so easy on the eye, isn't it, Joe Cullen? It's so nice to watch.
Joe, it looks to me here, Murph, funny enough, you know, if we roll back over the last few days, Joe's doing to Daryl what Daryl's been doing to his first 2 opponents.
It's a long format though in the quarterfinals, so it ramps up, doesn't it? All of a sudden that longer format, you've got time to come back, haven't you?
Yeah. Let me just ask a quick question for Lloyd there, because on 98 there, Cullen's gone treble 20. He's hit double 16 twice first start.
Yeah.
And then he's gone for
exactly
19. Why has he not split it? With Gurney not on a finish.
I don't know, to be honest. Honestly, it baffles me.
He's gone
to split it, yeah.
Tried it and got the wrong one, but he's got the right double.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Perhaps, did he even look up at Daryl's score? You'd like to think he did, because you do that. You sort of give it a quick glance and you think, have I got 3 darts or 6 darts here? And he had the 6 darts, but I mean, I know he's only a whisker away, but I totally understand what you're saying, mate. And he should have switched.
Yeah.
He should have switched.
Gentlemen, we've got some questions coming in on the YouTube chat. Please ask away, ask anything you want for these 2 gentlemen, within reason, obviously. The first question that I wanted to ask you guys from Lee Seymour, he asked, do Chris and Colin buy into the theory that a certain player deserves to win a major?
No.
No, I didn't think Lloyd deserved to win his major, to be honest. No.
Listen, like I said earlier, sorry, Murph. Like I said earlier, you don't get handed, mate. You don't get handed anything in life. You have to work for it. And no one deserves to win a major. You have to earn it. You have to go up there, do a professional job. And if you're doing a professional job and you keep doing that professional job, keep giving yourself opportunities, then hopefully one will come along.
One of the most annoying words I hear in darts is should. They get darts at double, they say should have won that leg, but part of the leg is hitting the double. So I think it could have won it, it's not should have won it.
Yeah.
So the people that won the majors deserve to win them, including the man alongside me.
Joe Cullen there, just missing at 170. It would have been the 4th of the tournament so far. It seems to be going in more regularly than ever.
Easy finish, isn't it? It's an easy finish.
Well, I always thought it was an easy finish, but
despite it being the biggest finish of the lot, a lot buy into the theory that it is easier than ones where you've got to go to different trebles.
That's a good question. I mean, 25 is something that all the players are practicing all the time. That's what Cullen's going for here. Pins it, and he's cruising now, 4-0 up. Lloyd, 170, look, it's your signature shot, of course, for what you did here, but what is the most difficult finish on the dartboard?
It's when you chase around the board. Because you look at, say, a 167, you sort of like up treble 20, down treble 19, back up again for the ball. You want to just go. The 170 is so easy. It's not so
for
easy.
You, maybe, for you.
But you're in the same area and you're going for the same segment that you spend best part of the match going for anyway.
Yeah.
So treble 20, and it's far easier to drop down than what it is to go back up. So like, even say a 157, treble 20, treble 19, and then you boom, boom, and you back up again, and you're going like that. You want to try and keep it simple, basically.
Well, throughout the evening, we're going to be asking you, Colin, shortly, but we want you to send us your top 5 players of all times. Give us some reasons. The best interaction throughout the night, we will send you a signed programme from the 30th Betfred World Matchplay. Lloyd, we'll come on to that later. Have a little think about your top 5. It's been debated heavily throughout the years.
Yep.
Everyone's got their own theories, from the legends of the game to some of the people that we might see this evening. You never know, they could be in your top 5. So have a little think. Guys, you send yours in and we'll discuss them throughout the evening.
Yeah, Joe, I really feel Daryl's got to win this leg.
Yes, he could go in 5-0 down if he doesn't. He
can't go down 5-0. He's looking a bit dejected as it is.
How early can you be in trouble in this format?
Now.
Yeah? Already?
Yeah, because all of a sudden, because you're thinking to yourself, why is my scoring not there? My first 2 rounds I was scoring really well, I was finishing really well. Where's it gone?
Might be finishing well here. Double 14 for a 145. Darryl Gurney just misses it, and Cullen will have the chance for a 105 for that 5-0 lead.
This will hurt massively if this goes in. Treble 18. So he's going to come back. He's going to get a shot, and he'll be thinking, I've got to clean this up. I've got to clean this up.
It's big, this, isn't it?
Massive. Yeah, this is massive.
Massive.
Double 14, the target.
Good marker.
He's followed it, hasn't he? Followed it.
He misses, and all of a sudden, huge opportunity for Joe Cullen to go 5-0 up.
And it's that double 16 again. He's been on the end of his arm so far in this match. There's no place he would rather be on this dartboard. Straight in, 5-0, wow.
Yeah.
That's the first break. Lloydie, how important is it to win this first mini session? It must send a real message to your opponent.
It's huge. Daryl's got to go out the back now, and in this break, he's going to have to give himself a stern talking to, because a stern talking to and get on the practice board, get that scoring going, because it's just not scoring. This is the Daryl of the past 2 or 3 years, Bert, that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
This isn't the Daryl that we've seen the first 2 rounds. All of a sudden, he's sort of reverted back to it again. And listen, it's easy for me to say sitting here. Imagine how he's feeling right at this moment in time out the back, thinking, what's going on?
Seeing the tweets come in, predicting there, it's just gone off the screen, but that Darryl Gurney's still going to go through. He might have sent that before the play started.
Do you still think he'll win? I mean, Lloyd is gone for Gurney, hasn't he?
He's got to come out, minimum, he's got to come out this next break, he's got to win 4-1. He's got to win this next mini session 4-1. Otherwise he's in trouble, because the score, for me watching at this moment in time, his scoring's not there, and we've just now seen there. His first shot's at a double, he hasn't pinned it.
The thing is, Lewis, about this tournament as well, Joe Cullen still needs to win as many legs as he's needed to win in either of the first 2 rounds. The jump from the second round to the quarterfinals is enormous.
Seismic,
yeah. Massive.
For Joe Cullen, though, he's gone in 5-0 up at the first break. How does he maintain his composure and stay focused coming back after the break?
He hasn't got to think about anything. Just keep doing what he's doing. He knows he's scoring well. This is the thing, look, when you're up there and when you've just walked off 5-0 up, you're going to be going, yes, 5-0 up, but then that's it. Right, get rid of that. You've got another mini session coming up. It's not the first to 5, it's not the first to 10, it's the first to 16.
You almost play it like sets. Almost play it like set play.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. listen, not everybody does it like that, but when I won it in 05, and that was a long time ago, I took it as set play against John. John Part, the legend is John Part. I thought if I can keep 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, and maybe nick a 4-1 somewhere, I'm going to be in control of this match.
Yeah.
And now, all Joe's got to do now is, right, 3-2, 3-2, even if I lose a 3-2 or a 4-1, I'm still in total control of this match. So it's all to play for Darryl. Darryl's got to get his scoring boots on, hit some finishes, and listen, who knows? But at this moment in time, he could, if he doesn't up it, I'm afraid he's going to get crushed.
Chris has got the stats there. I've got them here if you haven't had a look yet. Cullen averaging 97, Darryl languishing around 81. I know we've already said, but that's got to improve, hasn't it, and fast.
He's got to put 15 points on that. He's got to put 15 points on that just to get in this match. Because if he doesn't, Joe's just going to keep doing what he's doing.
It's not going to stay there, is it? I think it's safe to say that Darryl will not end with an average of 81.4. Does Joe Cullen know that Darryl will get better? And is that in your head when your opponent hasn't played that well? You're expecting them to come at you at some point?
For me, when I was playing, I'd always be thinking to myself, lovely, he's going to have an off night.
Well, okay.
This is going to be like what we spoke about earlier, like with Luke Humphries.
Yeah.
Is this Darryl's off night? But is Darryl going to get away with it? At this moment in time, by looking at those stats, no, he's not.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. But I think that Gurney will click at some point in such a long distance. But yeah, look, Cullen deserves to be 5-0 up, to be honest.
Well, that was it. That was the only darts he had there. The darts, well, 4 darts at double 14.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, they weren't that close.
No.
They weren't that close. The first one was for the initial 145, but the 3 darts that he had in his hand, Darryl would have been disappointed with that because he'd have liked to at least have gone in, if not clipped the wire. And he was nowhere near the wire.
We're not obviously writing Darryl Gurney off too soon.
No.
We know that he's got the ability to come back here.
Yeah.
But is this an indication of the inconsistencies that have creeped into his game, where he can go from averaging 104 2 nights ago to all of a sudden, down at 81? I know the game is only young, but
for me, I don't know about with Merv, it's all about what's between his ears now. He knows that's working. It doesn't show it in the averages, but you don't have 2 performances like what he's just had, and then all of a sudden that's not well oiled. It's now a mental thing now. He's got to dig in. He's got to dig in mentally.
I think it's a little sign of the tournament itself as well, that one of the reasons why the tournament and darts in general is so unpredictable at the moment is because players are inconsistent. The players have got a brilliant best, but they've also got this kind of C-D game in them. And if Darryl Gurney plays his brilliant best for a couple of rounds, law of averages, pardon the pun, is that he'll put in a low average in one of the rounds at some point. And as Lloyd just said, if this is his off night, look, Humphries got through his off night. It's going to take some for Gurney to get through on this level.
You were telling me before we started, Chris, Joe Cullen was saying that him beating Price wasn't really a shock to him. The way the players feel now, you played in an era, Lloydie, with Phil Taylor dominating here, but nowadays the field team's so wide open, doesn't it, that anybody can beat anybody. I'm sure that was the case at times back in the day, but now the players are so confident in themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, well, there's no massive... Lloydie's era, if Phil Taylor lost a game of darts, it was a massive shock, even when Lloydie was world number 1.
Listen, mate, when Phil Taylor lost, we were all like, yes!
Yeah, exactly.
We got a chance.
But even when this man was world number 1, or Peter Manley was world number 1, whatever, it was a massive, massive shock. Van Gerwen for a while held that for a little while, but now I think we're in an era where there are probably 20 players coming into a tournament like this thinking that they can win it, and all knowing that they can beat each other, and there's not that much between them in terms of standard. But there we go. Gurney's off the mark.
Off the mark. How important it is to get off the mark, as you were saying, Lloydie. And he started well after the break.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That he'll settle. Well, hopefully he'll settle down now. Like Merv said, he said he's not going to hang around on an 81 average. And crucially, it was a breaker throw. I know he's still 5-1 down, but if he can hold his darts here, 5-2, he's back in it. He's back in with a shout.
I think Lewis asked you earlier, Lloyd, how important it was to hit that first double, and we'll probably see that now from Darryl, won't we? He's finally hit one and maybe can settle a little bit more. And look, 5-0 down, first to 10, first to 11, it's as good as over. But first to 16, he's got a chance.
That's it, yeah, because there's a very long way to go. Sorry, mate.
No, just going to say, we've got a tweet here from Mason on Twitter saying, Wayne Mardle saying he can assure us that there won't be a rout this evening. Well, fingers crossed, we're going to have 2 really close quarterfinals. Gurney's going to come back, we imagine, in some way, but Cullen obviously still has that buffer. Well, that who knows? Last night we saw Damon Hetto, we haven't even spoken about yet, demolish Brendan Dolan, who had himself taken out Van Gogh early in the tournament. Yeah. It's so hard to predict, isn't it? Damon Hetto last night, he didn't even have to play that well, did he? And he won 11.
No. Gurney's settled now, by the way. Like we said, 180, his first 180 now of the match. So I think we will see a closer game. But yeah, it was a walk in the park. Brendo never turned up, did he, last night, according to Damon? And that was true. And that used to happen a lot, didn't it, with Phil? The player that beat the main man wouldn't turn up in the next round.
That's exactly right, yeah. It's a funny old thing, a game of darts. And I can see what Mason's saying there about with Wayne. Wayne said there's not going to be a rout. Like you just said, the law of averages and the way these guys have all been playing, you think it's going to be some tight games. But, you know, if Darryl keeps missing like that and keep giving Joe opportunities, there might be a rout. But he's got time now, so if he can clean this up now, that'll be the holder throw that he wanted.
Yeah, 9-9 though, a bit dodgy. And he has come inside, so has to waste a dart.
This is a big, I think this is a huge dart.
Massive.
And he misses outside.
Yeah. If Cullen gets this, if he gets this treble 10 first dart, there's no doubt that he'll hit double 16. No doubt.
Go on, man.
Well, look.
Bold prediction.
He's got the treble 10. No doubt.
Oh.
Don't worry. That's what you meant, right? That's what you meant.
I was just about to say the commentator's curse there.
Well, look at Dan Dawson the other night, by the way, for Sky Sports, saying that Gary Anderson was going to put on a master. In a way, he did put on a masterclass, didn't he, Gary Anderson?
Yeah.
If anyone would have said Anderson averages 103 against Darryl Gurney, he's in the quarterfinals, but Gurney had other ideas, didn't he?
Well, if you listen to the excellent Dart Show podcast, you would have heard Dan Dawson tipping Gary Anderson as his dark horse. I mean, a former champion here, but he did come in a long way back in the odds, didn't he?
Unseeded, so yeah, I mean, and again, that is an example of how close things are between the top players now. Gary Anderson going to a tournament unseeded is, well, unheard of, a player of that quality, but
this is where, I don't know whether you agree with me, Murph, this is where, when you asked me the question, Lewis, about certain players, you know, they should have had a major by now. The in-depth class of these players now, you should, like you said,
yeah,
you shouldn't be given anything. It's just the class in depth is so strong. Like we said years ago, in my time, I have to keep reverting to that, fellas, because obviously I did compete towards the end of my career against a lot of these players, but if I'd have lost with 103.5 average in the second round here, like Gary did, I'd be demoralised. I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Yeah, what have I got to do?
I'm going home after having 103.5 average.
Barney said something similar, didn't he, when he lost the other night? He said, is it still worth it to turn up, to prepare, to put everything into it, and one game and I'm off home again?
With Barney, it was an incredible achievement to get back here, wasn't it? After 5 years being away, surely there's a lot of positives to take. I know he's a lot older these days, travel takes it out of him, etc., but it was a great achievement to get back here, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive. Great finish up from Darryl Gurney. 86-6-2. Where does he need to be, Lloydie, do you think?
He's got to be a minimum. For me personally, I think he's got to be a minimum of 6-4. Yeah.
Joe Cullen just in the background, just giving it a little nod. He knows Gurney's coming now, doesn't he? He knows that he's not going to have it all his own way.
Well, he's put 5 points on his average now.
Yeah, already, yeah. And Cullen's has dropped, by the way, as well. Yeah. So when you think of it like that, then they're probably playing at a similar standard right now.
That's it, yeah.
Well, please keep your questions coming in on YouTube, on Twitter. A reminder of how this works. We want to be your second screen experience. If you want to watch live with us, along with us, see our reactions to the big checkouts, the 180s going in, etc., etc., you might have to pause your telly because there's a slight delay on our YouTube stream. But hopefully you can mirror it up and watch alongside with us, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And keep your questions coming in on YouTube. I'll get to one now.
Share the fun, share the fun.
Yeah.
Michael Richards, not the footballer, asks, could we have a semi-final with nobody from the top 8 in the world?
Why not?
The semi-finals.
Do you know what? Why not? Like we've just been saying, that the standard is so good these days that I think it's more or less impossible. You can look at the odds of things, but I think the standard is so good in depth that you can't predict a winner anymore. Well, for a while, Murph, it was a case of it was going to be either Michael van Gerwen, Peter Wright, Gary Anderson. That doesn't happen anymore.
Lloydie, I'm going to test your knowledge here.
Oh, here we go.
Hang on, let's see who wins the ninth.
By the way, I don't
here.
think any of the players playing tonight are in the top 8 in the world, so the answer is yes. Yes.
Correct.
So, yeah, we'll see if either player can get the leg in the ledger here. So if Cullen takes this out, Lloyd, do you think Gurney's still in as big bother as he was after the first break?
Yeah.
78 left.
That's a big dart. Oof. That could have really hurt that one. He's not 92, see, straight at the treble 20. That's the difference from my era. We'd have gone 25 and ball. That's a great dart. Do you know what? The great thing about that shot, and like I was going to say, in my day, we'd have gone 25 and ball to either get another dart at the ball for the finish or the double, and he's just gone straight at it, and although he's under pressure, he's pulled out a shot like that because he knew he had to hit it.
Yeah, massive.
If he hadn't have hit it, Joe would have just stepped straight and said, thanks very much. You can do this for me all night, mate, because I'm not missing, and I'm confident that I'm not going to miss.
Good start against the throw as well. This is a huge leg, isn't it? 6-3, he goes in 6-4 or 7-3 behind. Massive. It's
interesting, guys. We did chat about it, that what would the mindset be of Darryl being 5-0 down? Joe would have walked off going, yes, lovely, thank you, I'm 5-0 up. What was his mindset? Because like you've said, mate, he's dropped off, what, 4 points?
Yeah.
4 points, 5 points off of his average.
180 there, though.
Yeah, and that's put him straight back into the leg. But when we come back, I did say that Darryl needs to really get a 4-1 here. He really does need to get a 4-1. But Joe, if he can mop this up, he'll still walk in happy.
Treble 19, he gets a dart at the ball. Having to move across, not quite as far as Taylor did against Wade here that time.
Yeah.
Best dart ever thrown, that, wasn't it?
But again, though, well, would you have taken the chance on the going for a big 18?
Oh, possibly, yeah. 167's a massive finish. I mean, you said it's probably the hardest finish earlier on.
I would have possibly taken the chance of hitting the big 18 for the double. It's immaterial now, but Joe's still got to waste a dart. All right, it's double 8, down near his favourite.
Ooh, nearly busted.
This is tough now. Oh, it's a good dart.
Oh, great
good dart, that.
What a dart.
Huge dart, that.
Yeah.
And there, Joe Cullen walking off.
Yeah.
7-3 up.
Yeah, Joe will be happy with that. That could have gone wrong if he'd lost that 4-1. Darryl was back in it, but as we go into this second break, he's 7-3 up, and he's looking like he's in total control.
For those that aren't watching on TV as well, he had about that much of the bent to aim out there, didn't he? Had to go high towards the double 11. Could have easily busted it.
Yeah, could have done, yeah.
Well, yeah, 7-3 Cullen. Still think that Gurney's in big bother. I mean, he's closer to him, 4 legs behind, but of course Cullen is closer to the finish line.
I still feel he's got to pull out a 4-1. He's got to pull out a 4-1 now more than ever. Now more than ever. Joe's all right, 7-3. It's not quite there, but he's at the halfway stage already.
Yeah.
So he's halfway to getting through to the semi-final. Tough times ahead, but Joe will be happy coming out of that. All right, he lost the set 3-2 or that mini session 3-2, but I think he'll walk out with a bigger smile than what Darryl will.
Okay, we're going to take a little break there, Lloyd. We're just going to take a look once again at your winning moment from 2005. Single of me. Okay. Okay. Joining me now, it's not Colin Lloyd, it's Paul Nicholson. Paul, welcome to the watch along. The first time we've ever done this, brand new. We are live on YouTube, but you've been here all week, haven't you, working for TalkSport alongside Chris as well. Seen some incredible action here in Blackpool Avenue.
Yeah, it's been terrific, hasn't it? I think the unpredictability has taken over, and the fact that we've got a new champion this year already going into the quarterfinals is what's made it so appealing. And I think this is really inspirational for everybody who wants to get a major title, who is not here, because you know that the standard has been lifted by the chasing pack. And I think we're going to get a lot of this over the next couple of seasons, which is really exciting also.
You see Paul joining us here. We are going to be doing this throughout the night. Lloyd will be back later. I think Chris Mason will be hopping in. Basically, anyone that we can drag up and get live on here, hopefully they're going to be joining us. And obviously, Chris, you might dip out as well. But hopefully, we'll have an array of guests, which means you can ask more and more questions to the people alongside me. Gentlemen, how do you think the game is going? Joe is sitting very comfortably, really, at 7-3, isn't he?
Yes, he is. I think at 5-0, you've still got to be careful. I know from experience, I've been 5-0 up twice after the first break and lost them both. So I think if you'd offered him 5-0, obviously he would have taken that. But 7-3, you just got to think, right, okay, the gap has been brought down to a manageable amount, especially when it's first to 16, potentially, because it might have to go longer than that.
10 legs in as well, Paul. Cullen's average has dropped by about 7 points. Gurney's has risen by the same amount from the first session. So at the moment, we've got quite an even game. Gurney needs to up it even more, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He needs to find exactly what he did in the first couple of rounds. I know that a lot of the broadcasters over the last, say, 2 or 3 hours have said that a lot of the things that Darrell's done are unsustainable. But then if your name's Philip Douglas Taylor, he was able to sustain ridiculous standards. You only have to be brilliant for 7 to 9 days to win this title. But as far as Gurney's concerned in this game, 7 to 9 legs are really going to tell the story. This next session is huge for him. He can't afford to let Cullen get further away.
Paul, got a question here from Lord Bradders on YouTube. I'm going to tweak it ever so slightly, but he asks, what's your best match play moment not involving yourself?
That's probably a good thing, because he didn't have many, to be honest.
Thanks for that. I thought you were my mate. Well, I remember the first time we came here with TalkSport 2 in 2018, and we were having such fun doing it. We thought we'd love to be here for the next few seasons, and ultimately we did come back. But the first year we were here, I remember being directly underneath where we are right now. Gary Anderson had hit a 180, then he hit another one, and I thought, he's hitting this. And I closed my eyes and I waited for the impact of the last double, and it hit me in the face. That heat, that noise, it was a remarkable moment, and we'll never forget
Colin,
it.
of course.
Yeah,
indeed.
We do have the clip of that. We'll tee it up shortly, but talk us through this leg at the moment. Again, after the break, very important to come back and get one on the board.
You need positivity immediately when you've got these 5-leg bursts in this format. You can't afford to start slowly. Now, the thing about break structures is that you might get a real head of steam in, say, leg 4 or leg 5. But if you start slow in the next one, someone can try and catch you. And the thing about Gurney at the minute, he's probably the most experienced person left in the field, even though he's the lowest ranked.
He can't afford to be broken again, and he might be in a second. Cullen looking at 89 here. This is big, and he's found the treble. The double 16 has been a friend to him tonight, apart from when I've predicted he's going to hit it. But he has missed it this time, so Gurney off the hook a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what Gurney's been doing over the last couple of seasons as well, trying to find some more friends in the outer ring. Double 16 was a go-to, and it will be this time, but he's been using double 18 a little bit more. Double 16 has got to go this time. You can't see Cullen missing again.
Oh,
finds
so
the
close.
gap.
Yeah.
Commentator's curse again, Paul. Well, Murphy had it a minute ago.
Yeah, well, this could be a massive. This could break Darrell Gurney in more ways than one. Cullen hits this 8-3, throwing for 9-3. Good marker. That might block him a little bit. Had to move across. Yeah, just locked out. This could be the most pivotal leg of the contest. I know it's only leg 11, but Cullen gets away 8-3, then holds his 9-3 up. It could be curtains for Gurney, so he's had a real let-off here. He's got to make the most of it.
Goalkeeper's in on the 32 bed, that's for sure. Until Well, they're all missing on the outside.
And they're having to shuffle across. It's quick steps like they have here at Strictly Come Dancing at the Winter Gardens, but he has found it.
How many wicked double 16s are we going to see in 24 hours? That one from Heta yesterday, that was ridiculous. That was just as good.
To be fair, that was an incredible dart, and it shortens the gap to just 3 now.
Yeah.
Again, Gurney is coming back into this game, isn't he?
3's nothing. We talk a lot as broadcasters and analysts within this sport that 3-leg bursts are enormous. And every player at this level can put in a burst of 40 darts. We've seen Price at the World Championship put in bursts of something like 34. So if you can put that in, get yourself, I know that Rod Stud hates this word, but if you can get some momentum or get some positivity, let's put it that way, then it's game on.
We were talking about him being potentially 6 down after this leg, so to be 3 behind he's in it, isn't he?
Yeah, we talk about swings, and it's happened a lot in this tournament where someone can maybe get within one miss, then your opponent hits. That gap is then 3. It's a very different feeling. One leg you're away and you think, well, okay, I'm tapping you on the shoulder here. But then if you're 3 away, the negativity just seeps back, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cullen, first down to a finish again here.
I just wonder whether he should be going for 2 treble 19s on 164 when his opponent is nowhere near a finish. I just get the feeling that maybe going for the 140 is the better play.
Yeah, he's tied it up nicely though. 127 Gurney, so he's messed that up a little bit, left it handy, but Cullen wanting 60. Love his throw, just so relaxed. Starting to see a few missed up. This is getting a little bit like the end of that brilliant Humphreys-Van Duijvenbode match last night, where the misses make the drama, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, there were 26 legs in that contest. We might even get 4 or 5 more in this one. Double 8 for Gurney.
Well, this is now for him to break, so this is enormous. He could be 1 behind in a couple of minutes.
Paul, what do you think about this? You see certain players, Rob Cross especially, step away on a double. What are your thoughts on doing that? Do you think it breaks momentum?
It does feed the crowd because you give them more time to get involved. Now, we saw with Danny Noppert in a previous round that he was getting a bit of stick, and you really got to be mentally strong up there against an English player. If they're local to here as well, it's even worse, trust me.
We've got a question here on screen from Adam Aiken on Twitter. He asks you, Paul, what's the best match that you have played in? And Chris, the best game that you've commentated on?
You want to go first?
It was a game I commentated on with you, actually. Dirk Van Duijvenbode against Ryan Searle at the Players' Championship finals. Board 2, one of the most incredible games you can watch. And by the way, it's available on the PDC YouTube channel.
Great plug. Great plug. How much are we paying you?
Are you paying me?
No, to be honest with you, it's a great answer because, let's face facts, that game is so underrated.
Yeah.
It was adrenaline-fueled from start to finish. The best match I've played in, it's not necessarily the best win of my career, but it's probably the best match. Played Adrian Lewis at the World Championship on debut, and we had 7 sets of carnage. And I even lost count of how many ton plus finishes I had, but it was a tremendous match to be part of.
What about here? I heard you on the Dart Show podcast saying it wasn't a happy hunting ground when you were playing. You love it now, as most people do. They love Blackpool. But what about here? What are your favourite memories here?
I didn't enjoy my first win here against Colin Osborne. That was stressful. I didn't enjoy any of the defeats, which leaves 1 win against Robert Thornton, where I played mid-90s average, 110.8. It's about as stressless as it ever got for me.
167 on for Cullen, not going to happen. Gurney, 132. We saw this taken out sensationally by Michael van Gerwen earlier. Good guide on the bullseye, and he finds it. What a finish that is.
Super finish.
Remarkable.
Give him full credit for that, because as soon as you get that guide in, just over that bullseye wire, you think, oh, come on, I've got to get the 57 here. I need a shot of that bullseye, and Gurney was able to do that to bring himself back within 3.
And again, you talk about the swing, Cullen waiting on 73. If that goes, it's a 9-4 instead of 8-5.
This is what makes darts appealing to Generation Z. I don't want to go all, I'm 44 years old, I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I know that the attention spans for Gen Z are a little shorter. They want things to be rat-a-tat-tat. That's what this sport delivers. You get a result every 2 minutes. That's not the case in every sport. No. That's why it's so appealing.
However, this longer format at the match play, when we get to this stage, that brings its own kind of intrigue, doesn't it? Because you've got this story that's developing a little more slowly. And in another match, for example, if that was on the Pro Tour, Joe Cullen wins the first 5 legs, the game's gone, isn't it? But
yeah.
Euro Tour or wherever it might be. But in this format, you can lose a session 5-0 and still win the match.
And as a player...
Hang on a minute. What a finish, wow.
1-3-2.
Countered by
Gurney,
1-4-2.
countered by 1-4-2. Very quickly, all of a sudden, 2 big finishes. This crowd are going to go mad when this really ramps up in a bit, isn't it?
Well, this is what quarterfinals are all about in all of the PDC majors. It's got an air of expectation. Who is going to be expected to make the final in the next 48 hours? One of these guys is going to leave in the next 60 minutes thinking what could have been. And when MVG is out and Price is out and Michael Smith's out and many other people are out, we're talking about one person from the quarterfinals who was made a semi-final here. Gurney's never lost a quarter-final here at the match play, and it's a weird dynamic, but it's a very exciting one because it really does have the feel here in 2023 that the next generation are already here. The chasing pack are no longer the chasing pack. They are part of what's next.
Well, we got Lloyd's prediction for it when he predicted that Daryl Gurney would go all the way. Chris, remind me of yours.
Luke Humphries.
Yeah. Paul, who do you think is going to win the whole thing?
I said Humphries at the start. Just because I'm stubborn, I'm going to stay with Luke. I think sometimes first-time champions in this tournament and in others, they have to go through what Luke went through last night. And that showed not just quality, it was a quality that he maybe never had before.
One thing I did say, Paul, was I was actually more confident about Luke winning it before he became favourite. That's quite a heavy burden now, isn't it?
It is, but on top of that, if you think about the last 12 months, he's had that #1 seed tag next to his name an awful lot, and he's getting used to that.
Might see another big finish here. 1-2-8 Gurney. He's found the first treble. 1-3-2. He's not going to do that. So Cullen coming back 106, and that would be to lead 10-5 and restore that 5-leg cushion he opened up earlier on.
Well, it'd be commanding if he gets the treble 17 in bullseye. Oh, the hurtful way. And a big smile from Joe.
Yeah, every leg starting to get bigger the nearer we get to the finish now. Gurney on top. It's not his favourite double, but the way his darts lie, actually, if he misses above, which he has done, he should be able to slot it in just underneath. I've done this before.
Called it.
Is that what he was saying? I've done this before.
Oh, what's a little bit of a funny expression there from Daryl Gurney. He's looking in Cullen's direction. I'm not sure that he hasn't got something in his head here.
Well, you know what Daryl's like. He is a feisty competitor on the hockey. You've seen him get embroiled before.
Yeah, he's a spicy meatball.
Cullen's not the type of player, though, is he, to be up to any antics?
To be honest with you, I've played Joe many times, European Tour stages, Players' Championships, and I can say it hand on heart, doesn't do a thing. Absolutely straight up. He is not someone who can even look himself in the mirror. If he was to click a dart accidentally, he would hold his hand up immediately.
Do some players then have to find something to fire themselves up? So whether it's a shout in the crowd or some perception that something their opponent's done. I'm not saying that's what's happened. We did see some kind of reaction from Daryl Gurney, as if he's just trying to G himself up a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it could be. I mean, Daryl is someone who has spoken many, many times about what kind of mood he wants to portray. When he won the Grand Prix, he wanted to try and keep it as mellow as possible, even though it was bubbling underneath. But maybe this week he's trying to find out where he goes from here. And maybe he needs that fire inside, and sometimes it has to spill over.
We had a tweet, it's gone on screen now, asking about Aussie darts. Do you still see yourself as one of the top 2 Aussies? I presume these days with Damon Hetter's resurgence in this sport, do you still see yourself as one of those?
I've already spoken to Damon about this. When he won in Leicester last week, I said, congratulations, you've now won more Players' Championships than I have. He hasn't got a ranked major yet, but the fact of the matter is, he is the second most successful, because he won the World Cup, I didn't. So, hands up, he's number 2.
And How do you see his chances this week? I mean, an incredible win yesterday against Brandon Dolan. Result that was 11-1. It's something we didn't expect to see, but you know, he breezed through.
Yeah, well, his energy levels are going to be really fresh come tomorrow. I think Damon inherently is a phenomenal dart player and is doing things that he hasn't done before. But as for his brand and where his technique is at, haven't even touched the surface yet. That little bit of rigidity that he needs in that rhythm, once he finds that with the scoring and the doubles, because it's very close to clicking, that's when you've got to watch out for him. It's getting there, and he's already making strides in his career without finding that 100% range yet.
What about the stuff he's doing on his walk? It's almost like the anti-Paul Nicholson, isn't it? Well, what he's done here is the bad boy of darts, but we've seen him on the Euro Tour doing all sorts of things to try and endear the crowd. Now, I had a little bit of a chat with him about this, and he said it is that what Peter Wright does, what Wayne Mardle used to do, to get rid of any nerves. He said, watch the first few legs of any big stage match, and to quote him, he was as stiff as a board. Now he's releasing all that. Do you think that's actually helping him?
Some people are afraid to do what's necessary to make them the best possible player they can be. Damon is someone who is not afraid to try new things. And if he wants to engage with the crowd and try and find a way to relax, then fair play to him. Peter Wright once famously danced on the stage and everybody said, what on earth is he doing? And then within about 2 or 3 months, it was the norm. Expect this to continue, especially if Damon's success on the board continues.
I mean, and you work a lot of the European Tour events. Here, obviously, the Aussie cricket theme, he knows what he's doing.
It's going to get worse, though, as the Ashes resumes, isn't it?
Especially, you know, if England don't win this Test match. But we won't get onto that.
I just wonder what he's going to do in Australia for the World Series. Is he going to come out in an AFL jersey for, I don't know which team he's, I think it might be the West Coast Eagles or the Fremantle Dockers. But yeah, I'll be really interested to see what he does in Australia and what kind of reception he gets.
By the way, I know Chris Mercer might join us later on. He's currently in commentary. He said that Damon Hetter's not the greatest on TV. I think it's a bit harsh. He has won 2 TV titles.
But Damon, the form hasn't been there recently, but all of a sudden it comes back on the floor and it translates.
A bit like Daryl Gurney.
Winning darts matches in the PDC is not easy. And just because you won in a previous season doesn't mean you're going to win this season. Some people do go through spells. I mean, I won 3 floor titles in 2011. I didn't win another one after that. As far as someone like Ryan Searle's concerned, won in 2020, 21, 22 and 23. That's 4 consecutive seasons he's got to win. That's a brilliant thing to do. And as far as Damon Hetter's concerned, he's been winning consistently each season since he joined. That's a hard thing to do.
Do you think he can go on and be the greatest Aussie player of all time?
He's got the time on his side. As for getting more majors than Simon, he's got the opportunity to do that. I think if Simon had joined the PDC a little earlier, then I think he would have got more titles. But you can't beat Father Time, that's for sure.
Well, we're back underway. Chris, just run us through what's happening.
Yeah, Gurney was on 116. I think he's 1 break away from making this a really gripping game of darts. Cullen wants double 16 to stop that happening. Big dart here, having missed the first, and he nails it again. He's just staying far enough ahead to prevent it getting a little bit dramatic, and he wants to avoid drama at all costs, particularly after what happened against Gerwyn Price.
How many times do we talk about the most important moment of the match coming late or in the middle part of the game? In this scenario, the most important thing's already happened in the first 5 legs. By getting that gap and then just palming Gurney off for the rest of it. He has made things a bit easier for himself by getting that lead, and by virtue of getting that lead, he's made things very hard for Daryl.
Yeah, the minimum requirement for Daryl Gurney is to keep holding his own throw, and then he's got to break very, very soon now. He needs to break to make it a bit of a game. Cullen's still actually further away from the finish line than Daryl Gurney is to him, so that's kind of the little bit of optimism that Gurney can have. It's not like last night where he's 1 leg away now. It's still, when we talked about the format, the short format on the Euro Tour, Pro Tour, he's still a full 6 legs away from winning it.
Yeah, that's right. That's where endurance comes into it. Daryl's played a lot of long format stuff like this in his career with success. As far as Cullen's concerned, he might have a little bit of a mental hurdle to get over because he was in a match-winning position against Gary Anderson 5 years ago. Didn't get there.
Oh, I can't believe he went for the ball. I cannot believe he went
Joe's
for the ball.
got 288.
Did you see how long Gurney was like that for before he threw the dart? He didn't make his mind up until the very last second. That was bizarre.
Well, how about this then? That was almost double 9.
Well, he got there in the end, Daryl Gurney. Claws it back.
Back to just 3 legs.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about now, he needs that break, and he needs it soon.
Yeah, and when Cullen opens like this, then it's very difficult. He's got to, every leg on Cullen's darts, he's got to at least match him, throw by throw, and then hope for a mistake or a big finish of his own.
And Paul, is there anything in a dart player's psyche when you're in a long format game like this, and you see your opponent's score get to double figures? Does it hurt at all? Does it enter your mind, or do you still just see like I'm 3 behind or 4 behind?
Every time there's clicks over a little bit more, you think time's running out here and the pressure builds. If you can just absorb that and still find a way to relax and compartmentalise about winning 1 leg at a time, fair play to you, but a lot of dart players will panic. How many times have you seen somebody get a lead like this and then all of a sudden the end of the result is 16-7? In my case, when I played Taylor in the quarterfinals of the Grand Slam, 16-4, because he went bananas at the start. I thought to myself, I'm not going to catch you.
Well, that's honest of you. So I was going to say, most darts players will say it's not over until they hit the winning double, and I still thought I was in it. But look, you're not playing at the moment. Are there points in games when you actually do start to think, I've got no chance here?
Absolutely, but if you think about yesterday, the ability to absorb the negativity and then project and use positivity to get you through a tough situation. Yesterday, what Luke Humphries did, I was worried for Luke. He said, what was it he said to himself? It was caught on camera. What are you doing, or something like that.
Yeah. Glad you said that.
He said, what is wrong with you? It was really interesting that he mouthed that, and I thought, that's a negative comment. So after that, we've got to have something called positive self-talk. He must have had that afterwards, because he was able to win the match 14-12.
Who's winning this one, Paul? Do you think Cullen's just going to close it out? Gurney has just got a break that he needed, so 10-8, 2 legs, suddenly 10-9. Do you think this is the turning point?
Coin flip time, because Gurney's playing better than Cullen at the minute. I know the doubles aren't perfect. They're nowhere near what we've seen, but we're about to have a part of the match where the adrenaline's going to kick in again.
Yep.
And we saw with Dirk van Dijvenbode and Luke Humphries yesterday that when that adrenaline spiked again, so did the form.
Yep.
And I think that's what we're about to see. I'll still go with Cullen because of his experience against Price. I think having that in the last 48 hours will definitely help him.
Well, Nico, I think your cue is to go. Lloyd is waiting in the wings. He's itching to get back to this sofa.
It's only because Gurney's coming back into it.
Exactly. He wants his prediction to come true.
Going wrong, yeah.
I think we can take
because it looked like I was going to be proved spot on right as we turned to try and see his prediction come in.
Boom! Welcome, Lloyd. Welcome back. Nice cup of tea. Nice break.
Do you know what?
I thought you were bringing the pizzas back.
Do you know what? I had myself a nice little. I don't know whose they were, but I had myself a nice little biscuit and a little glass of water.
Well, as you see, Daryl Gurney has fought his way back into this game. You predicted that it was a long way from over. He's now got that break of throw. He's just 2 behind.
Might be getting broken straight back though. 16 double 16 for Cullen, and that was short-lived. Wasn't going to go again. And look at Gurney's face as well. He's done all the hard work, and then just to get knocked back straight away.
It's got to hurt. Got to hurt.
Yeah, he'll be looking here now. Listen, if I can get the break back just before the break, that'll make Joe think a little bit then. But tough task ahead. But they're significantly up their averages now, and turned into a slugfest now, fellas, isn't it?
Yeah, proper game, and at least he's made it close enough for it to be that, because early on it was looking like it wouldn't be. So
Yeah.
glad we're getting a little bit of drama. Another question I've sort of got is that you've got Nathan Aspinall and Chris Dobey in the background. I mean, they've got no idea at this stage at what point they're going to come onto the stage. So how does that affect your preparation?
It's horrible. It's horrible because when you see someone go into a big league like Joe did, you think to yourself, right, get back on the board. No time now, and you start really getting into the zone. And then all of a sudden someone starts making a fight back and think to yourself, right, is it going to go on a bit now? And it's so hard to judge, but listen, that's what professional individual sport is about. You have to make sure you prepare properly, get here early enough, get on the board, get your arm loosened up, and just be prepared.
Well, please keep your questions coming in on the YouTube chat. We've had a number already. Lloyd, you've got some queued up for you, but we want more and more, and some for Chris too, about his commentary career, how he got into the game. But Lloydie, one here from George Speck.
George Speck.
How did he get your nickname, George?
Good old George. Yeah, I've had some interactions with George before. I actually, if you're looking, hang on a minute.
So Colin just missing a 152.
I had a couple of fangs there. Mine's an original nickname, it's not made up. I was actually called Jaws at school, so that's how it. And then I had them pulled out.
There was that tweet from George?
George.
Isn't there a story that Rod Studd's children thought you were called Colin George, Lloyd?
Yeah, George Colin Lloyd. and then I was called Jaw, not Jaws.
Well, Cullen's gone in now, 11-8 up. That little fight back from Gurney was short-lived, but look, it was, 12-8 up. So it was 5 legs, then it's 4 legs, and it could have been a lot closer, but it stayed 4 legs. And of course, Cullen now just 4 legs away.
Yeah, I was just chatting out there with someone I've known for many years, and I said the trouble is, it gets to a point now where you're having these little fight backs, you start running out of legs because your opponent's getting closer and closer. Listen, I know that's simple words, but as a player, you can't help but think that. You think to yourself, and you keep looking at his score, and you're chipping away. I'm running out of legs. And then all of a sudden, the pressure becomes a lot more intense on yourself to try and break, to try and hold, to try and break again, because that's what Daryl's got to do now, just to try and get back into this match.
Well, at the previous break, we saw a bit of anger from Daryl. He's going to have to channel that again, isn't he, coming back after the break?
But when you're doing that, look, it's great to see it. It's great to see someone charge like that, but it takes so much out of you. And he's had 2 tough games already. They look relatively easy games in the way he played, but it takes a lot out of you. So, like you say, it all depends what he's got in reserves. Can he G himself up again and think to himself, right, I need to push. But he's got to push just for himself. If he wins 8 legs on the trot, that's a huge push. And the way that Joe's playing at this moment in time, he's not going to reel off 8 legs on the trot.
I'm just looking at the stage as well. Daryl's down there. He's just stood at his table for ages. Cullen nowhere to be seen. I'm not sure. Get your thoughts on it, Lloyd. I'm not sure this is the best thing for Daryl. It must be a lonely place at the moment. So just to be on the stage by himself might not be the best feeling.
Maybe not, but he may be thinking to himself, I'm in that area where I want to be. The scoreline doesn't show it, but I'm in the place where I want to be. And he might be feeling that if I go off the stage now, I've then got to come back onto the stage and reset myself. If he's in that happy-go-lucky place, that's what I'm thinking that he's chose to stay out there. I mean, I was one of these people that I couldn't wait to go off the stage, to just give myself a little talking to. I just want to have a little chat with myself. 9 times out of 10, tell myself off. But if he's feeling good, he can stay out there.
And a quick insight to what it is like backstage. Obviously, you're walking off at the same time as your opponent. When you're losing a game, he's coming off as happy as anything, and you're there giving yourself a talking to. It must be a weird dynamic back there.
Yeah, again, a lot of the Chalker boys that are still around now, I used to come off and I used to chat with them. And at one time they said, "Why is Lloyd talking?" It helped me relax. That's the way I relaxed. I didn't want to just put myself in a corner and just, again, it goes back to you using up so much energy. And like I said, when I used to practice, I was always one of the last ones to be on a practice board because I was always chat, laughy jokey. And some people used to look at me and think, what are you doing? Why are you not practicing? I was still keeping the arm ticking over, but it helped me relax. So
I've got a question here. We're going to test your knowledge quickly.
Oh, okay.
Well, more just Lee Seymour was mentioning that his first ever live event was the 2007 Premier League at Newcastle Metro Radio Arena. You were up first that evening. Do you remember who you played and who you beat?
In when? 2007?
2007, Newcastle, opening game.
And he won.
He won.
I won, or the other?
You won. So that rules out one player,
8-5.
probably.
8-5?
Yeah.
Roland Sholton.
Great knowledge. There you
I
go.
used to love. Roland's one of my best pals, and he always will be. We travel the world together. I used to love playing Roland.
Is it tough though playing against a friend? We're going to see next Chris Dobey versus Nathan Aspinall. They're sharing accommodation this week.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to play someone that you're so close with?
Well, they've both got a key.
Yeah, and don't put the deadlock across. Listen, when I travelled, we were like the four amigos. Myself, Dennis Ovens, Steve Beaton, Roland Sholton. We all used to arrive at the venue together, and none of us would leave until last man standing, basically. Great friendships, 100% rivalry. You have to have it. You know, what's the point of playing? You know, we all want to rip each other to bits. You know, that's the whole point of competitive sport. You know, you can be the best of pals. I think we've seen over the years in football, you've got, say, Manchester United teammates representing their country, and there's the biggest clatter of a tackle going, and you don't think, you know, they share a room with each other for Manchester United. You know, it's passion. You've got to show passion. And so for me personally, and listen, going back with Chris and Nath, they're best of pals, but that all goes out the window. Shaking the hand, they'll mean it, best of luck, and then gloves are off.
A reminder that you can still vote in the poll on Twitter. Tell us who you think is going to win that second quarter-final. The tall task of watching the end of this quarter-final, and Joe Cullen is getting closer and closer.
Yeah, and if this goes, this is epic. Epic. Bullseye. Ooh.
Now, for me, I feel he should split. I don't know, it looks like he's going straight at it, but I'd split. What do I know? Look, straight in.
Yeah.
We have the poll on screen there for our second semi-final. 70% going for Nathan Aspinall. Do you see it as straightforward as that?
No. I think Chris Dobey's looks really good this week. He had a fantastic, I don't care what anyone says, he had a fantastic Premier League campaign. The amount of huge averages that he had, and he lost, you know, that can be absolutely crushing. But you know what, he's dusted himself off, he's carried on battling, and he's thrown some fantastic stuff this week. And rightly so that he's in that, but he knows he's got a game. Like we've just now said, best of pals and whatever. But both know how to win a big tournament on TV. So I think we've been for an absolute treat in this game.
I think it'll be more nip and tuck than this one.
I think it will, yeah. I think you're probably right.
Lloyd, what has Gurney got to do here? I know simple, win as many legs as possible, but it's not as simple as that, is it, when Cullen is playing as well as he is?
Yeah, he can't do any more than what he's actually doing. He's just got to. He can't push any more at this later stage in a match. You know, you're not running on reserves, but you should be now. You're in the groove.
He might have to take this out. Oh, because he's running out of time to get those breaks of throw that he needs.
It's running out of legs, Chris. Like we've just now said, it's running out of legs. Joe's going for his favourite 32. Good marker. Ooh. Opportunity.
That's what you all said at home as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Listen, 12-10's better than 13-9.
Well, double 9, dodgy, isn't it? No one wants to be there. And that's landed quite flat. That's awkward. Very, very awkward. But he's found
big. That's big, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was not big. That was Mahusif.
By the way, the TV camera showed the angle. It weren't that awkward actually in the end.
Yeah.
It's sometimes deceiving, isn't it? But it looked like it had fallen and blocked part of it. Did have to go a little bit to the other side, but 12-10 throwing first. still in it.
This is where now, as a player, you're standing there, you're thinking, 1 or 2 trebles, 1 or 2 trebles. It gets me within a leg. That puts just a little bit of pressure on Joe then, or whoever you're playing, not just Joe specifically, you know. It's a good last start though.
Coming here from the same scrappy game. Aspinall and Dobey will definitely fancy their chances. Just hope that Colin can get over the line. I mean, he's still favourite, but Gurney is chipping away here, isn't he?
He had a similar position. I mean, not as good a position, but a similar position against Gerwin Price. Let it slip. Price came back, but then Cullen found something at the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
So there's stuff to draw on in this tournament.
Yeah.
Does that count for anything? What's happened the night before that, or on the stage is it all forgotten?
No, it's listen. As long as you get a W, you don't care. You walk off. You think, well, so what? Yeah, all right, I got away with that one. But you know what? Dust myself off. Different day, different player.
Yeah.
You know, and you just go back into that player's room whenever you're due to play again. Do your same routine.
Ooh.
And just hopefully you'll up it a little bit. That was a bad last start there.
Yeah, it could be happening again here. He's done the hard work in getting the break, Daryl Gurney, and he might be surrendering it straight away. He might have to take out a massive finish, 161.
Superb set-up stuff there from Joe Cullen once again.
Yeah, this is enormous. Not going to happen, so Gurney might be just giving it straight back to him.
Yeah. And that will be what's disappointing him. Like you say, and you can't help but think like that, like you said, Murphy. Yeah, he's just giving it straight back. You can't help but think, I'm doing all this hard work and I'm just letting it go with a couple of silly little darts. But, fellas, we're in the quarterfinals of the World Matchplay. You've got to tighten up. And like I said, it's easy for me to say now because I'm sat here. But, you know, I think Daryl will possibly come off of this match if he does get defeated. And he'll think to himself, why is it the quarter-final where I've had that bad day at the office?
Yeah, remarkably, ironically, he's never lost a quarter-final here before either, so maybe didn't expect it. And Cullen is starting to put his foot down. Crowd love it here, just seeing shots of the crowd, they always enjoy it. The best crowd in darts, a lot of people say at Blackpool.
Holiday time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the summer, well, we've not got the good weather this week. I mean, it's about as good as it got today. Saturday looks like it's going to chuck it down, but the best place to be is inside, isn't it?
Yeah.
But having said that, a lot of players in the past have said they've struggled in the heat, and this year maybe it has been conducive
it's
to
a lot cooler.
Yeah, massive.
I remember a year here when Rod Harrington was defending champion, and he ended up beating Peter Manley in the final. I think Rod changed his shirt about 3, maybe 4 times in the final. It was so hot that year. 99, if I remember rightly. It was 99 because that was my debut. It was 99 and it was red hot up here.
Well, again, he might have to take out 161 just to stay in the match here. And this time he might. Oh! That was close.
Very close.
That was close.
Very close.
But Cullen topped through a 4-leg lead to go 2 away.
2 away.
Yeah,
there it is, first time of asking. He's been imperious, hasn't he, this evening on the doubles, really?
I think that's... Paul Nicholson said when he was sat there, I think he called it quite right, the most important thing that's happened in the match was the first session. Since then, pretty even game, but Cullen's just kept that bit of distance.
Yeah. This is somewhere when someone's on their game, you can't afford to lose a session 5-0. You really can't. And that has actually been the difference within this match.
Could be done. This could be done. Cullen's 180 against the throw, first visit. Daryl's head started to drop a little bit. This could be done in 2 legs. And he's in again. Are we going to see something incredible? Oh, that would have been a great start to the watch along, wouldn't it, boys?
Here come the boos. Boo!
Someone spotted you, have they, Lloydie?
Well, I haven't had a jug of beer chucked over me yet, so I hope not.
We should be safe up here.
Used to be you that chucked the jugs of drink at them, didn't it?
Yeah. I used to spin around with a jug on it. Yeah. I got told off for that, so I stopped doing it.
Well, they need a cooling down. Looking at the 2 players, do you think you're seeing a bit of any defeatism in Daryl Gurney now with those reactions?
Yeah, a little bit. You can tell by the face expressions that he's sort of, the walk has turned into a bit of a trudge.
Lloyd, we've got a fan on screen. Ryan tweeting us in saying that he's loving the TDS watch along. As we said, TDS, not tedious. We hope you're enjoying this. The first time we've ever done it. We're going to be doing these throughout the rest of the tournament, taking you all the way to find out who's going to be the 12th winner of the Betfred World Matchplay on the 30th stage of the event. It's an iconic tournament and a special milestone, isn't it?
This to break again and restore that 5-leg cushion. Missed a big number in there. He's let Gurney off a little bit there. Last little sort of clinging to the cliff edge here from Daryl Gurney.
Has to go.
And has
go.
Okay, so they always say, don't they, if you can keep them 2 legs away, don't let them get within 1.
Well, let's just remember, fellas, that was only a holder throw. He's still got a 14-11 advantage. Massive hard work for Daryl to do now. But if he keeps doing that, you never know.
Ken predicting via Twitter that it's going to be a Cullen v Humphreys final. I mean, as you said, he's your pick for the tournament.
Yeah, it's looking like that. The one player that I think is a big danger, actually, for me, is Nathan Aspinal, just because of the amount of sheer fight he's got in him.
Well, Ronan, we've seen this tweet. He predicts that Clayton's someone we've not just spoken about. He predicts that Clayton's going to make it alongside Cullen.
Keep saying that, doesn't he, Ronan?
Does keep saying
it. Calm down. We've heard you, Ronan. We've seen it, mate. New champion guaranteed. Yeah, of course. Obviously, the Welsh cheering for Johnny Clayton. He said that as well, didn't he? No Gerwyn Price, but he'll fly the flag for Wales.
Yeah.
He's the one who's won the most majors.
Yeah.
In a weird way, the most experienced in the field at winning. Hasn't been around as long as some of the other players in terms of top-level PDC darts, but he knows what it is to win the big ones.
Yeah, he knows how to get the job done.
Well, can Cullen get the job done here? 14-11. Might be a little bit of an opening for Gurney, but he's got to make the most of it. Cullen's on a finish, Gurney won't be, and he could be within 1.
Real pressure now on Darren.
Oh, this could go here.
Perfect first start, wasn't it? Well, do you know what? People talk about memories. And Joe Cullen, the darts that he missed to beat Gary Anderson were at 9-9. Now, we had a chat earlier, should he split? Do you think he should split in this spot? 18 left?
All depends. Sloppy last out there from there. I would. He's going to.
10-4, yeah. And it's paid off.
Just sensible darts, isn't it?
Kept his head about him, hasn't he? Yeah.
He's been extremely confident and been very clinical with his finishing tonight, Joe. So why not waste a dart? It's no different to Chris if you had a dart at the bull and you left 25. Yeah. So you've got to hit the 9 for the 8 anyway. So if you think to yourself, why do I want to go for a 9? If I go straight at it, hit the 9, I've then got to waste a dart, and I've got 1 dart left.
Do you think he would have done the same had Daryl been a lot closer?
Probably not.
I think he might have just, if Daryl had been closer in legs, I think not. But in terms of just in the score in that leg, I think he still would have done it because he feels that he's in complete control of the match. Yeah, Gurney's now got to win 4 straight legs or it's over.
That's it.
Cullen 1 away.
Yeah, this is Joe's hardest leg, but he's got over the winner line so many times before that it shouldn't be.
You've been in this position, as we say. What is it that goes through your head when you think, I've just got to do one more leg?
15-11 up, I bet he hasn't.
I was usually 15-11 down. That's a great shot.
Well, that's what you've got to do, isn't it?
Yeah. You just got to keep doing what you're doing. You know, when it comes to that finish, because he's got that cushion as well, there shouldn't be any pressure on him when it comes to that finish, especially if he leaves just a finish here where he's got all 3 darts next throw, which is a very big possibility now.
Just don't bust it, Joe. Don't bust it, pal.
We've got a couple of questions I'll get to in the break because we're at a crucial time in the match.
Could be over, yeah.
A couple of nice comments.
Unless...
Oh! See, they were going in the other night.
Yeah. Well, he might be going out now.
Yeah. There we have it. Joe Cullen wins the game into the semi-finals. A 16-11 win over Daryl Gurney. And he's looking really good, isn't he?
Yeah, it was good. A good, solid performance. And I don't know whether Chris agrees with it, but you can't give someone at this stage of a tournament, you can't give them a 5-0 lead.
27 legs is a very good standard, but you're absolutely right. Look how many legs was won by.
Yeah,
5.
Exactly, there you go, yeah.
So that was the difference, that very first session of the quarter-final.
Well, Matt asks, do you think a win at the match play this weekend for Cullen could kickstart a winning run for Joe, similar to what Clayton did following the Masters?
Why not? You know, but like we said earlier, you know, Joe won the Masters.
And it didn't do it for him, did it? He didn't do...
No.
He almost did win the Premier League, to be fair.
Yeah.
But missing that, I think, maybe set him back.
Yeah.
This is a different kettle of fish to the Masters, though, isn't it?
It's huge.
There's no doubt in Joe's talent and how good a player he is. You know, he's got the respect of the old-timers like myself, and he's certainly got the respect of the players he competes against week in, week out, because they know how devastating he can be, for not only scoring, but he's finishing as well. He is an accomplished player. But the thing about Joe is, for himself, he would like to win a big one like this. Whether it kicks him onto something else, it might have the reverse effect.
Yeah.
He might think to himself, well, I've won this, I've won the match play, and go, well, that's it then. Just,
yeah, he can be like that, Joe Cullen. He is that type of player where he doesn't like practicing.
He's relaxed.
Yeah.
It does help him at times.
Yeah. Prefers to play snooker, doesn't he, than darts?
Yeah.
He's not a...
Seems to be a common crossover, doesn't it, Paul and snooker?
The thing about it is, fellas, when you achieve and you're winning a lot, whether it be a major, whether it be a ranked event at a weekend, and you climb up the rankings, you've always got a target on your back. And that's when the hard work really kicks in. You have to keep working hard. You can't just sit back and think, well, I know I'm playing well. Well, do you know? But then when you start getting your bum kicked, don't start moaning.
The calendar, though, now, Lloyd, is so packed that if you're just in everything, you're kind of playing a lot anyway, aren't you?
I totally agree with you, mate. I 100% agree with you. But there's also that time where just if you've had a bad weekend, just pick your darts up on the Monday or Tuesday just to keep that bit there oiled. Don't let that bit there, because that's the bit, when you leave it too long, between there and there, that's what hurts. The following day, you're going to go, oh, I think I left it a little bit too long. Then for a few days, you've got to keep doing that to loosen all those memory muscles back up again, to go bing, you know, so you can just go boom, 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 you know?
And for a player like yourself, how long would that take, that sort of process?
Oh, it'd take a long time now, mate. It'd take a long time now.
We've had a question here from Kane McKenna asking, if you were to attend Q School next year, do you think you could get through it?
No, I wouldn't even attend Q School anyway. Listen, the old me, the dart player side of me that's still sort of like about there says yes, I'd love to, but the heart, the fire in the belly, and listen, I know sometimes I can be a clown. No, I'm not good enough anymore.
Do you still have those moments, though, Lloydie, when you're playing exhibitions or practicing? Do you still have those moments where, like, actually, I'm not bad?
I don't have it where I think to myself when I go back on tour, but I still have. There's no pressure on me, Chris. I'm just there. I'm booked to entertain, have a bit of fun, and basically chit chat with people, tell them little stories about my match play exploits, my Grand Prix, travelling the world with the darting scene and whatever. And I love all that. I love that. You know, I sometimes feel, and rightly so, you know, you come in through the side door and whatever, you say hello to the fans, you make time fans, have some photos and whatever, but you come here because you want to win a major. Whereas me now, I'm just relaxed old Lloydie, turn up at the next, hello everyone, how are you, and just relax and chill out and have some fun. I haven't got that competitive edge anymore. Simple as that, really.
Bit like the dart show watch along then, eh? Ideal. Lloydie just relaxing, having fun, watching the hours.
Enjoying himself. Well, we will be able to bring you those winning moments shortly. I'm sure the clip is just being prepared to be able to show you a replay of Joe Cullen booking his place in the semi-finals. But we've got an incredible quarter-final coming our way now. Nathan Aspinal with Chris Dobey, and all of a sudden you're in that back room, you hear those winning darts go in, you know it's showtime, you've got to go.
Yeah, you can see that on the TV channel they're getting interviewed together. You mentioned before sharing a house this week.
You're probably the type of lads that might have even been practicing together in there as well. But as soon as he walk on that stage, Lloyd, it's worst of enemies, isn't it?
Laurel and Hardy, isn't it? That's what it is, Laurel and Hardy. Listen, that's the thing, because you've got your mates who you travel with and you know, share rooms with when you go away and whatever, and they're your good, reliable friends. But they're both in the same business.
Yeah.
They both want to become the Betfred World Matchplay champion. And listen, I dare say before they go down, or even when they're down, about to go out, they'll probably do it on the stage. There'll be a big hug, and it's a big, genuine hug. All the best, mate. And then, unless someone hits it, that will be professional courtesy. If one of them takes out a big shot or whatever, there might be a quick little fist bump or whatever, a little bit of laughing and joking, but that little laughing and joking, that will stop like that again as well. Because, right, focus. I've said well done. That's your lot.
Well, we should be able to hear from Joe soon. I imagine there's a whole host of media downstairs waiting to speak to him, but eventually we'll be brought upstairs. Join us live. Lloydie, you might have to disappear. Or maybe you, Chris.
Maybe
you'll go,
nature calls.
Yeah.
Calls, you know what I mean?
Well, we should be able to speak to him soon. I mean, I'm sure he'll be very positive about the way he's just played. It really was such a special, wasn't it?
I think it's maybe it didn't look as good as it was because of that first session, because he got 5-0 ahead. Everyone starts to think, well, more focusing on Gurney not playing too well in that session, and Cullen just kept that gap. I think the crucial moment actually was when he got broken and then broke straight back, and he did that a couple of times.
That big check out as well, was that?
Yeah.
1-4-2.
So,
I don't know if that was a break back.
No, that wasn't the break back, but it's still big moments in the match.
That must hurt Gurney to plant a 1-3-2.
Yeah.
Crowd's with him all of a sudden, the energy's up, and then immediately he's broken back with a 1-4-2.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Listen, the main thing about it is Joe will come off and he'll go, all right, 97 and a bit average. It was a good, solid, professional performance.
And that's enough to win tournaments like this, isn't it? It doesn't have to be 110.
He created opportunities for himself when Darryl started coming back, and not only did he create those opportunities, he took those opportunities. Yeah. And like we said, I know people at home and where we may be thinking that, you know, we keep reiterating about that mini session of 5-0 at the very start. That was massive. That sort of like that set the tone for the whole of the match, really, because Darryl was always going to have to chase. Yeah. And he was always going to have to chase. And he done good chasing, don't get me wrong, but like we said, the 1-3-2 out, and all of a sudden he gives it back again. And then you start running out of legs. Listen, Joe Cullen, fair play, deserved winner, and a fantastic, solid performance. He can now relax and look forward to whatever final opponent comes to him.
Well, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, we should be able to see those winning moments now.
There we go. Gurney. Well, Lloyd called it. He winced at the time just as it went inside that double 16, and I think that's the moment that Gurney knows that the game's up.
Yeah, he knows how clinical Joe's been with his finishing, and you can see how much that means for Joe there. Joe is obviously responding. He's going to be gutted. Of course he's going to be gutted. And do you know what? I hate it. I hate it, fellas, when someone doesn't show emotion of being beat. You don't play competitive sport to be beat. You want to be a winner.
Yeah, it wasn't a massive release from Joe, was it? It was like another day's job done, another day's work done.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Chris, a good, solid professional performance. Joe knows that he's got more in his game. He knows he can push it well above over 100 average, and he's now going to get the opportunity to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, keep your questions coming in for these two gentlemen here. And for Joe, we can ask some of your questions to Joe when he joins us on the sofa. I'm sure he'll give us plenty of his time because he's just won. He's going to be delighted, isn't he? But we have got another quarter-final to deal with now. Let's talk about that. We've briefly touched on it, about them being close friends. And you say, when it's crunch time, it's a rivalry. Semi-final place is on the line here. This is a massive game for both of them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just about. It's not just about. It is just about becoming the world matchplay champion. Let's be fair, but there's opportunities as well for other things in it. If you become the matchplay champion, it opens the door to a Grand Slam place. It opens the door to World Series events. And the biggest thing for me is the chunk of cash that you're going to win to go on your ranking for the next 2 years. It just relieves so much pressure when you hit a a big number of money to go on your list. And you think to yourself, right, I haven't got to worry about that now for the next 2 years. And that can sometimes help you relax even more, that you go and do some more stuff. And it just relieves pressure.
Please keep sending your questions in via Twitter as well. We're bringing some up on the screen now. As David Turnbull says, winning that first session 5-0 was crucial. Had it been 4-1, I think Gurney would have come back too big of a task in the end. And Cullen, by far the better player in that match, couldn't sum it up better, David. I mean, that first session, although there's a long way to go, as you say, going in 5-0, it really must have hurt.
I think Chris would agree with me as well. I don't even think you'd have come back from 4-1.
No, yeah.
Too big a gap.
Agree, yeah. But did we did do predictions before that one, didn't we?
Yeah, all right.
Well,
are we going to talk about that, fellas?
So we need to know. We need to know now. Is your allegiance switched to Joe Cullen? Is he going to go all the way for you now, Colin?
Listen, why not? Like I said, good solid performance. He knows he's got more in the tank. We all know how good he is. I think he's going to need to put a few points onto the average. I think he's going to need to average over 100.
Well, you mentioned Dobey averaging more than 100 in the Premier League. Lloyd did that against Nathan Aspinal in one of the matches in the Premier League. 102 average, got beat 6-4. 99 average, got beat 6-4. Did beat him in the very first week. They played 3 times, actually. That was Dobey's sort of glorious week in the Premier League, wasn't it, when he arrived and just took it by storm. But 3 matches this year, 2-1 in Aspinall's favour, but they've all been close.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Aspinall, I've noticed about Nathan's always bubbly and bouncy anyway. But I don't know what it is. I think here he seems so relaxed. I was fortunate enough to play in a charity golf event the Wednesday before the event started, and Nathan was there, and I had a nice little chat with him. We didn't chat too much darts, chatted a little bit. I said, how's things? And he goes, yeah, I feel really good about my game at the minute. I feel as though I'm in a good place. There's a game there, or there's a tournament there. And I thought, well, fair enough. And when I've seen him here, he seems like he's nice and relaxed.
He's playing up to the home tournament thing a bit as well, isn't he? Getting the crowd on side and all that. Is that a bit of a clever tactic from Nathan?
I don't know whether it's a tactic. I think him coming here, the hometown boy, even though they live right near each other, the hometown boy, the welcoming home would have been for Bully. Yeah. Would have been for Michael Smith, because world champion and world number 1. And now that he's gone out, and Nathan actually said the other day, you got asked a question about MVG. Well, MVG's back in Holland, I'm still here. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, fair enough.
And we all know he's bouncy and bubbly, and he bounces and he bounces, but he is a class player. I like Nathan a lot. When he's on it, he's an absolute joy to watch, because he gives you 150%. And he never knows when he's beaten.
Yeah, everyone calls him a street fighter, don't they? But in a way, is that a little bit? Does that overlook how good he is as a darts player?
Sometimes I think it is. He's not just that street fighter, that brawler. He's class in the way he goes about things. He does stop. He checks himself. If he thinks to himself, right, come on, and he composes himself. And you need all those attributes to be a major champion.
Well, let me just stop you there, gentlemen. While John McDonald does his thing down there, we're going to hear from the 2 quarter-finalists about to take to the stage.
Chris, you're playing one of your best mates tonight again.
Yeah.
How do you manage that from when you're playing a mate in comparison to obviously when you switch on and become professional on the hockey?
It's just the same. I go into every game exactly the same. I don't do many things different. Obviously, we know we're friends, but when we're on that stage, it's all forgetting about and put to one side. So that's kind of the motivation I go in with. And obviously, rooming with Nathan this week, it's been good banter. And like I said, you can be as much friendly as you want behind the scenes, and once it's up there, it's business.
Okay, so tell me about some of the banter. What's the chat been like round a dinner table, lunch table, whatever?
Yeah, we'll just have a laugh, saying obviously he's going home then, and I'm going home here. And I keep saying he's got tickets for the golf at the weekend. I said, well, you'll be able to go now and stuff like that. So, it is good banter. He's got his missus and his kid came up today, and he's got his little one, and saying, oh, can you let Daddy win? And so that's the kind of banter. And like I said, we're there for one thing, and we're both trying to do the same to win money and provide for the family.
Okay, you knocked out one of your other mates in the process to get here, so you're not a very good mate yourself, are you? Clearly.
Yeah, like I said, we're there for one thing. Obviously, we all want to win darts competitions, and yeah, I'm just happy with the way I'm playing, and if I can keep doing that, I'll be even happier. Okay.
Well, there we have it. Chris Dobey talking to Gary Partington. We know he's a confident individual, but he's up against a fierce competitor in Nathan Aspinal. He's just taken to the stage now, but let's hear from him talking to Gary.
Firstly, Nathan, you're sharing Airbnb, I believe, with your opponent. Yeah. What's the chat been like around breakfast?
There's been a lot of banter, I'm not going to lie, yeah. Obviously, me and Chris, we're really good mates. We share quite a lot. We've got the same manager, all through the Premier League with each other. But, yeah, we have been giving each other a bit of stick the last 2 days. You know, he's saying I'm going home. I'm saying he can have his BFH for, you know, obviously his bus fare home. But, now, listen, we can have a laugh. You know, earlier on today and yesterday, but when we're on that stage, we're both professionals and we'll go out there and, you know, hopefully I can do the job on him. Okay, have you been talking about the match much? No, not even mentioned it, to be fair. We've been out today, had a walk around Blackpool, game of snooker yesterday with Joe and Dobes. So, now, but I think the final four, we're all really good pals, you know, me, Joe, Dobey and Gurney. We're really relaxed, both of us, you know. I can see him last night, we was watching the darts, we sat having a Chinese, and you know, we don't even really feel like we're playing each other today, but now we're in the venue, you know, it's kind of put friendships aside and go out there and, you know, win and hopefully get my first semi-final of the match play. Yeah, how do you manage to separate the kind of like friendships to, you know, being professional on the hockey? You know, it might not be the answer that people want to hear, but you know, you've got to think of, I'm going to play for a hell of a lot of money tonight. Obviously, an opportunity to win a major tournament. And at the end of the day, Chris doesn't pay my bills for me, does he? I pay my bills by winning darts tournaments. So that's kind of how I do it. I go up there and, yeah, he was my mate, and you know, I hope he played well and I hope I play well. But at the end of the day, I want to win because I've got bills to pay, haven't I? Yeah, the winner buys dinner tomorrow, no? Exactly. Yeah. Well, you've been in the last 3 quarterfinals. How much would it mean to do one better? Yeah, definitely. You know, the last 2 years I played Michael, and certainly last year I felt like it was the one that slipped away. He was battering me and I came back into the game and I was well in control of the match. I felt like one more leg I needed to, I think it would have been 15-all. Then I think the crowd was playing their part. I think I would have come through that game and he pinged an amazing 1-4-6 out against me last year. So, yeah, I'm not playing Michael this year. It's so wide, this draw, so wide open. But we're all still fantastic dart players. So, you know, there's 8 amazing dart players out left in this tournament. All 8 of us can win. All 8 of us believe we can win. So, you know, all I'm saying to myself and the rest of the guys, may the best guy win out of the 8 of us.
And there we have it. Nathan Aspinal talking to Gary Partington. He seems confident. As we said about the first game, for the two here, it's a huge opportunity once again to get into the last 4 of a major competition. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, you know, what we were just talking about a little earlier about Aspinal having the crowd on side, that walk-on during that interview there, the crowd were in full voice singing Mr. Brightside, and I think they're going to be, I'm going to use the cliche here, they're going to be the 4th dart for Nathan Aspinall in this one. But look, both of these players have been in semi-finals of big tournaments before, both have been in finals, both have won. But yeah, I mean, you're probably going to touch on this, Lewis, at 70% in Aspinall's favour. Look, you haven't asked for predictions yet.
Quickly before the game, well, they've just started.
Well, I'll go first this time. Lloyd has got the chance to take
redeem
my advice.
Yourself. Thanks, mate.
Or take my advice and follow me, or go against me. I think Aspinall will win, but I don't think he'll win by the margin that the poll suggests.
Lloydie, who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be about, I'm going to go Asp 16-12.
Well, we are underway.
So I'll definitely be winning after the end of the night, won't I now? Even if I get this wrong, I'll still be 1-0 over this one.
Yeah, but you haven't given us a score. That's putting you on it, isn't it, eh?
Tell you what, let's have a bit of overtime, shall we? 18-16.
Ooh, wow. Well, Lloydie, I think you're going to be replaced once again shortly, very shortly. John McDonald is going to join us.
Oh, fantastic.
You know, he's just done his thing on stage, but we'll just take a look at this, and then John will replace you.
What are we watching?
The darts, by the looks of things. We'll continue until John's ready. Maybe, you know.
Well, first leg, yeah. Aspinall chance to take. I mean, we saw how quickly the first leg countered in the first match. Aspinall looking at double 16, exactly what Cullen did, and he pins it first time.
Yeah, nice, steady, solid opener off the mark.
Yeah. Settled again already. Can't see this being 5-0 at the break like the first one, though.
Well, do you know what, though, Murph? To be fair, would you have seen 5-0 at the other one? Between Cullen and Gurney? You wouldn't have predicted someone.
Oh, I definitely would have, yeah. Have they got the same
they have.
pair of shoes on?
sharing each other's clothes now with those things.
Have to write the names in the back of the heels like you did at school.
Wow, yeah. My mum made sure I didn't lose them.
You also had white shoes.
Yeah.
They got a little silvery glittery.
I know,
bits
a bit of glam.
It'll be a little bit of bling on the trainers.
I got a trim like that on my car.
Bobby George has got bling on his fingers. The boys in the PDC have got bling on their trainers.
I'm not quite sure where those trainers are from. I've never seen them other than on a dart stage.
True.
But there has been a change. I know that's a silly thing, but there has been a change in footwear in darts. Players like to be as comfortable as possible, and we see these black trainers with a bit of bling on them. I mean,
what did you used to
wear them.
All proper shoes.
Old school,
old school, mate.
But when you were standing,
old solid bros, and you know what? I still wear old solid bros when I do my exhibitions.
Not the same pair.
Listen, I tell you what, I've never had a new pair in my life. Always get them resold, relaced, and
Blimey.
Sounded like Trigger there.
You're about 4 inches taller than usual.
I'll tell you what.
How can it be the same broom?
Honestly, I'll tell you what. The thing with my shoes with playing darts is I used to boot the hockey.
Cables, John. Stick on the headset. Can you hear us loud and clear?
Yep, perfectly.
You can hear us. John, you've just done your stuff for the second time this evening, walking on players. You call it the best job in the world, don't you?
I do, yeah, and it is, isn't it? I mean, what's there not to like about it? Watching thousands of people enjoying themselves, trying to keep up with me, trying to stay as long as I can with the champion of the world. And
we've seen some huge walk-ons in terms of fan engagement tonight. Yeah. Have you got a particular favourite of any of the 4 you did this evening? Not just musically. I know you love to sing, but not just musically.
Yeah, but it's a funny one that because they're all so special in their own way, and of course Sweet Caroline gets everybody going, and as does anything from Oasis. So I mean, it's a difficult question that, but however, I think my favourite walk-on of all time was here when Phil Taylor played in his World Matchplay, having been a 16-time world champion, got to the final. There was something really special about that, like there was with Barney in Rotterdam when we did his. I mean, they've all got their own unique sort of special moments for me, I think.
We see them stood at the end of the walkway, John, when you're announcing them to the stage, and you can see that they're getting a little bit of a buzz out of it. Do you still get a buzz out of it?
Yeah, you've got to. Yeah, you must buy into it. I think people would know if you didn't. This is all about presenting a great job for our live audience and our people watching at home. It's all about them. It always has been. And that's a policy because I'm a fan, really, aren't I? I'm a fan. I watch every sport on TV. I attend as many live events as I can. If you're a fan and you know what's needed to make it a very special night.
John, we will be interrupting you here and there to keep abreast of what's going on in the darts. Chris will be guiding you through that, but after this leg has been completed, as Chris will run you through now.
Tops for Aspinall. Over the top, so a chance for Chris Dobey to break here. Early on, we did say it wouldn't be like the first match with one player going in 5-0. It's going to be nip and tuck, this one. Could be the first little bit of blood to Dobey here. Double 6, the start of double 12 was miles off, but he's nailed that and he leads.
Please keep your questions coming in for John McDonald. We've got a different face joining us soon as well. I think Chris Mason is coming in. We've also got Joe Colin coming in. Joe's going to join us right now.
Played so well just then. I mean, I sneaked up earlier to watch Joe practice, and he was in a real zone, and I knew he would play well tonight, and he didn't let us down. It's been brilliant.
Can you hear us?
Yeah,
loud and clear. Well,
yeah,
welcome.
Great.
You are live on YouTube now, so please, no language.
No swearing, no?
No swearing, no swearing. We've got to be like, come on,
lad.
Keep
come
my
on.
tongue.
Joe, congratulations into the semi-finals. First, just describe your feelings after that match.
Yeah, it was a really strange one. I didn't really feel comfortable the whole game, but it was a case of just staying in front of Darren. I think the first session won me the match, to be honest. I obviously won the first session 5-0, and I thought I kept him at arm's length the whole way through after that. So it was a strange match.
Well, did you expect more from Darryl after the two performances he's put in so far to reach the quarterfinals? And then you came out and you took that opening session 5-0. It was a bit of a flat start from Darryl, and that really gave you the advantage, didn't it?
Yeah, but I'm sure he expected a little bit more from me. You know, I didn't really sort of fly out the blocks. I know 5-0 suggests that I did, but like standard-wise, I certainly didn't. But it was like I say, it was a strange game, and I'm just happy to come out victorious because I've had some sticky results here.
But it is a tough ground, is it? It's a tough ground, a tough stage to play on. What is it about Blackpool that A is so difficult, but B so enjoyable for a lot of the players?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. You know, you don't ever hear like a player say a bad word about Blackpool. As soon as the calendar comes out, everyone looks for the World Matchplay, and when it starts, so it's one of those. It's a cracking venue to play in, and it's everyone looks forward to it.
We are only going to have Joe for a few minutes, but please get your tweets in as quick as possible. Comment on the YouTube channel as well. Make sure you ask as many questions as you can for Joe, because you know it's not often we get a player live straight after a game.
I've got to stay here for a while.
Well,
not go now.
Well, you can do if you want. I mean, quickly we'll get your prediction for this game. You know these two players very well.
At the minute?
It's currently 2-1 across Dobey.
Yeah.
Now it's 2-2. Now it's 2-2. Nathan Aspinal. He looks fired up, doesn't he? You've been backstage with these two as well, practicing this evening.
Yeah.
Obviously, you haven't seen them for the last 2 hours while you've been playing or so, but you know these guys well. What's your prediction for this match?
Yeah, well, I absolutely hammered them both at snooker yesterday. Let's just get that out there straight away. But yeah, I think this year certainly they're really well matched, and you know, I think if you'd ask me for a prediction, I think Nathan will just edge it. But if Chris won it, I don't think anyone would be surprised.
Well, Ronan's there. He's backing you. He believes that you're going to play Johnny Clayton in the final.
Well, that's a dream, isn't it?
Is that your dream?
Yeah, Johnny. Honestly, me and Johnny are best friends. We're best friend on the tour. He's again a little bit like the venue. No one's got a bad word to say about Johnny. You know, him and his family. You know, really nice people, and we spend a lot of time together. So yeah, me and Johnny in the final.
Well, before you joined us, we were just talking to John about the atmosphere in Blackpool, about walk-ons, about how special it is when players like yourself walk to the stage with a huge tune like that. What are your feelings standing at the end of that walk-on when you're waiting? Usually you're watching your opponent if you're going second, and you're waiting for John to then call your name.
Yeah, it was a weird one tonight actually, because I don't normally get nervous, but I was actually a bit edgy walking on. You know, when John's announcing it, you know, at least he got the names right tonight. I'm just checking you paid attention, John.
We've got a question here from Lee Seymour on YouTube. He asks, Joe, do you feel there's any tournaments that have got away from you that you perhaps should have won so far in your career?
Yeah, but I think Players' Championship 12 from 2020 is not going to cut it. I think not necessarily tournaments. Obviously, the year that Gary won it, I felt like I could go on and win it. But obviously, he was fantastic that year, and even me missing a couple of darts, he wanted to win the tournament. But it's that cutthroat at the minute. The standard's that good. It's so tough.
I think, but the Premier League final would have been a fantastic one.
I didn't want to.
No, I know you didn't. But, you know, but they're those big important nights, aren't they? But I think sometimes the runner-up can take an awful lot from that, whereas the winner might just take it in his stride. I think sometimes the runner-up can really learn from that, and it's not a great feeling. So you always want to improve on it.
Yeah, I disagree. I think the 275,000 in my bank would have made me feel a little bit better. But I know what you're saying. It was a great experience for me. Obviously, I was gutted not to be in this year, but you know, I'll be doing everything I possibly can to get in next year.
Joe, how good would it feel winning the World Matchplay? The 30th year, you'd be the 12th name on the Phil Taylor Trophy. Sounds special, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm more than capable, as are the remaining players in the tournament. You know, I think we'll all be pretty similar. Obviously, with the top 5 in the world going out, I think everyone will see this as a massive opportunity, and I'm no different.
just heading to the first break there in our second game. Chris Dobey is leading 3-2 at the interval. Your first session was 5-0. How was it backstage, and how will these two be feeling backstage right now?
Yeah, they're both being pretty relaxed. It's one of those, it's a weird one. Once you get the first session out of the way, you seem to sort of relax and grow into the game a little bit. And certainly with, I think Nathan took me at 1-2-8 there. The big finishes certainly relax you, and yeah, I think it'll be Nathan took the whole way through the match.
Is there interaction between the two players backstage, or do you do your own thing?
Yeah, sometimes it is. It all depends who you play, you know. I remember me and Johnny playing in the Premier League final. We went off, and some people don't like to talk to me, and Johnny was having a bit of a laugh and a joke, and it's just, it is what it is. It's, you know, I'm pretty sure Chris and Nathan will be speaking backstage because, you know, they spent a lot of time together this week, and they're actually rooming together, so 100% they'll be speaking.
Well, Joe, we are going to let you depart there if you'd like to go. We'll take another look at your winning moments just as you leave. Do you want to stay and watch? Well, talk us through your winning moments.
Go
on then, we'll bring those up. I think the VT is coming through shortly. Well, 1 second. A few technical issues. I don't know. We had it briefly to bring you in. We had it briefly, but you will be playing one of these two in your next round match. Do you have a preference who you face in the semi-finals?
I'm really, really good friends with both of them. You know, they're both top lads. They'll spend a lot of time with us, especially at the European tour. You know, we get a lot of the same flights together and things like that. But like I say, it is what it is. We're both here with all three of us are here. We want to do the job. We want to win the world match play. So it's come tonight, whoever I play, I'll be more than ready.
We've got a number of support coming in for you, Joe. A lot of people are backing you in this tournament. Congratulations. We will see you in the semi-finals. We'll just cut to a shot of the arena, I believe, while we swap Joe out. John, you stay with us. We're going to bring Chris Murphy back in. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Well done, Joe.
Cheers, boys.
Good luck, mate. You know, he's such a great player, such great focus, you know. He's exactly what the game's about, really. As I said to you earlier, Lou, I went to watch him practice, and he was so focused and so in the moment. I wasn't at all surprised he won.
Chris, you were saying before the tournament you really fancy Joe to go far here. Obviously, welcome back, by the way. I hope you had a nice break.
That's all right.
Joe, he seemed so composed there. He seemed, you know, almost that this is his destiny in a way to make it to a major final again and hopefully go over the line and have the matchplay title.
I think if he's just beaten Gerwyn Price in the manner he did the other night, that really kind of might have carried over and just give him that extra bit of belief that he can win a massive one. I know that he felt he should have won this title 5 years ago when Gary Anderson won it. He had chances to beat him, missed a couple of darts. That was when the fly flew in front of the ball, wasn't it, at that moment? But yeah.
Well, I was trying to convince him that was probably the best thing that could have happened to him, because, you know, that's really not a nice feeling, that. Runner-up's really not a nice feeling, and if it makes you motivated to go and win, and it clearly did, because that Masters title was a tough one as well to win. It's under a lot of family pressure as well, as we all know, you know. And I was just so pleased for him, and I can see him. He's really one of the most focused players I think I've seen in this tournament.
Such a natural talent as well. You can't be that good without getting some success.
John, while we've got a break in play, I know we spoke to you at length on the Dart Show podcast, which is available to watch, I believe, on the PDC YouTube channel if you want to have an in-depth chat with John. But quickly, give us your route into darts, how you got to be the MC, to be the voice almost.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting that we're here, because in 2005 I got very little notice that I needed to be here to cover this event. Now, I'd only done one darts event before, a pay-per-view event, and I'd sort of had a toe in the water, but I really didn't know what to expect. And all the players told me that this was the players' tournament, which put extra pressure on me, really, because, you know, there's a lot of tournaments and they all mean something different to different players, but this one is the players' tournament. And this one is really what they all want to win, because this one doesn't make you a one-trick pony, you know. As we see with Rob Cross when he won this tournament, you know, he won that Worlds coming from nowhere, and then suddenly wins the World Match Play. It seals him as a top player. I think when you've got this on your CV, I think it makes you the player. And I really firmly believe that, because if it is the Players' Championship, the ones the players want to win, and you win it, what does that say?
Also dominated by Taylor for so long.
Correct.
That nobody else got a look in.
Yeah, long time, yeah.
Well, please keep your questions coming in for John while we've got him. He wanted to go soon, because, John, you need your beauty sleep, don't you, for tomorrow?
Well, if it's beauty sleep I need, I better sleep for 100 years. But I'm not here for my looks. You know what? This is such a great tournament for a number of reasons, and I think one of them is you see so many of the same people taking these season tickets because they know this is top quality darts here.
This could be top quality darts here as well from Chris Dobey. Yeah. Great timing.
Yeah, great timing, John.
Thank you.
Natural. 140 there from Chris
Another
Dobey.
great focus player. I mean, we've just tonight's action has been really dominated by focused young players that look the part and go out and do the stuff and deliver it, you know.
John, a question from Sam Cohen here on YouTube. He says, how long does it take John to learn all the info about the players pre-walk-on? I mean, I'm not going to answer for you, but we see you down in the press room when I'm, on that side of things. You're coming in, you're asking, you're getting your information, making sure you've got it accurate.
Yeah.
It's a pre-night ritual for you, isn't it?
Well, it is, but, also what people may not understand is that I have a lot more in the bank, because sometimes a player may not be in position when they throw to me to open the show, and I'll have to make it slightly longer. And other times the players are waiting and we're running short of time. I have to keep it short. So I might say he's won this, he's won that, he's got 3 of these, 4 of them. But there is other stuff I need to use if I need to drag it out a bit. And I think, that in itself's a skill. So you're constantly reminding yourselves of their previous, and but you're also aware that it's not just about somebody talking all the time and announcing how many things they've got and what they've done and where they did it. I think it's about getting them on with the right level of build-up.
These two are going at it now. A question from me, John. You'll have seen the likes of Nathan Aspinal, who just pulled a leg back there, brilliant leg of darts. Chris Dobey, Joe Cullen, 10 years ago or so, appearing at the edge of that walkway, rabbit in the headlights. How much pleasure does it give you to see these players as fully fledged elite professionals?
It's all about the future, isn't it? I mean, I've been so lucky in the short time I've been in darts that they've had the introduction of the academy system, and we've seen these young players really come to fruition. And it is a big thrill because, this is a life-changing sport. This is Mr. Big Time, this. And there's no getting away from it. And for their dedication, I'm glad they're being rewarded. And it is a great sport for youngsters to get involved in. And that in itself is a pleasure. But particularly watching them grow from being very nervous young men, and now I'm pleased to say young women as well, because we've got some great women talent, and I'm really looking forward to that on Sunday. That's a real big asset for us. And it's just great to watch them grow in confidence, because knowledge dispels fear. The more you do, the more you learn, the better you become, and the less you worry about it. It's familiar territory.
John, I've got a great question here from Lewis Fryer. He asks, what's the best way to get into what you do for a job, John? How does somebody go from being the layman in the street, a fan, to becoming the master of ceremonies? What advice would you give to the next John McDonald?
Well, it's a question that comes up quite a bit, and I think you have to have a love for a particular sport. You have to start somewhere, so you always start with something that's familiar. So if you're a football fan, right? It was boxing. Yeah, I know. I loved it so much. I covered it as a photographer, and I had a deep passion, and still do have a deep passion for boxing. And so that seemed to be the most sensible way into the sport for me. And then what you do is, it's like anything in any job. You start off small, and if you love football and you want to be a football announcer, then what you do is you go to your local football club, a non-league club maybe, and you ask them if it's possible for you to give them some help along the way, and you build up your repertoire like that. I was extremely lucky. I got a reputation for making big nights and doing good jobs on big nights of boxing, that it just seemed the right thing to do with other sports, and luckily I fell into it like that.
Well, Chris Dobey just looking at double 8 here. One dart in hand. Chris, is it going to go? He needs to switch to double 4.
Yeah, it's going to go.
Great switch. It's going to go. Didn't give you enough time, Chris.
Aspinal getting dead frustrated before he missed 3 clear darts at tops as well. He was punching his own hand afterwards. Still early in the match, but he's playing really well. Nathan Aspinall will be really frustrated to be 5-3 behind.
I mean, you see that from Aspinall. He wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? He has had some troubles recently with his throw in action.
Yep.
Yeah. Things seem to be on the up a little bit for him, which is positive, but when it gets tense, who knows what could happen.
And that was a great switch, wasn't it, Lewis? I mean, you know, you've had 2 darts at double-8 right on the other side of the board. You really couldn't be any further away, and then you switch to the 4 and get
without interrupting his rhythm as well.
Exactly, and people really, the massive darts fans, it's something that I always look for. I always think, you know, that's such a great move because he's totally the opposite direction. Focus, aim, fire, you know, and they get it, and it's brilliant.
Top standard, there's both players averaging in 3 figures. As we expected, really. But yeah, you mentioned those issues that Aspinal had. He is the type of personality, the type of temperament that I believe can sort of overcome anything. And he's done that. He's worked hard behind the scenes to get himself back to the level where he feels comfortable. Just got so much fight in him, so much fight.
Yeah, I spoke to him in New York actually when we were at the World Series event over there. Spent a number of hours with him doing media the day before the tournament, and he was talking about the work he'd put in to overcome it. It was getting bad in the Premier League. It's a very tough thing to deal with. We've seen it plague a number of top players over the years, but as you say, he's got that fight in him. He's got that dog in him.
And it happens in every sport, doesn't it, Lewis? It happens in every sport, and you know, it's how you adapt to that and how much effort you put in.
Well, at the moment though, it's Chris Dobey doing all the work.
Tops, what a finish.
Tops for a 100 finish.
Yeah, he is on
and
fire.
And he moves 6-3 ahead, and all of a sudden a cushion has opened, and Chris Dobey, he's looking very, very composed.
He's a kind of opposite temperament of Nathan, actually. It's a good contrast. He's kind of calmness personified when he's on the stage. He just gets on with it. Both players are focused, as John has been saying, but in a very different way. He's got that bit between his teeth, Nathan Aspinall, where Chris Dobey just tries to stay calm and focus on the process, trust the process, and he does it so well.
A couple of comments coming in via Twitter. Reminder that you can get in contact with us via Twitter. We'd ideally like you to use the hashtag WMDarts or TDS Watch Along. But Jesse Van Son, come on the Asp. He wins this tournament now. Come on, John. I don't want to necessarily ask for your prediction, but Aspinall has certainly got the ability, hasn't he?
No question. Yeah, absolutely. This is. You know, it was wide open a couple of days ago. It became pretty obvious. And then when it became obvious that there will be a new name on the trophy, I'd tell you this is a hard call who wins this.
Yeah.
You know, it really is a tough one because every one of these is not just here on merit. They're also looking, once they get this World Matchplay mantle, that's a big game changer in their career.
But just to spin it back to your own role, you're going to stand there on Sunday night and announce somebody as a World Matchplay champion for the first time. How nice is it to be part of that moment and be part of something that will live in their memory for the rest of their life?
You try and make it very, very special because, you know, for them, it's a moment in their history, and for me it might just be another award ceremony, another final, but you know, you've got to be aware of how they've got there, and you know, and I know, Chris and Lewis, of course, is that we all travel together, we're all part of the same family, and for certain players it means so much more. And you know, there is a real life to this business. You know, it's not just, these are not just objects we see every week on telly. You know, these are real family people.
Well, Marty here saying he would 100% watch a Channel 4 travel show starring Nathan Aspinall and Chris Dobey. They are good friends. They are living together this week.
Yeah.
And they've got a great bond between them, haven't they? And you know, they are two very likeable characters.
And also, Lewis, they've got young family, they've got young children the same age, and you know, and they've got a lot in common, and I think that's important as well.
Well, we've just seen Nathan Aspinall get a leg back, Chris. Important going into the second break. He's only 2 behind.
6-4, nothing in it in a race to 16. Complete contrast to the first match when Cullen just got too far ahead too early that Gurney couldn't find his way back. So, look, I'm sticking with what I said. I think this one could go to extra time.
Well, John, I'm not sure if Lloyd is ready to join us again, but a couple more questions for you. We've had one come in from Sam Cohen saying, what's the greatest city for you to do announcing in, for you to do your job?
But that's too tough a question, that, because it would depend on which player's in that city. There's nothing better than welcoming home a player, like we saw with John Henderson in Aberdeen. You know, that was great. And Chris Dobey, in fact, in Newcastle, that was great. So we've had some great moments like that. Barney in Rotterdam, that was great, you know. They're all very well. As far as cities go, I'm delighted with the Premier League because we we can literally reach everybody. You know, there's no excuse not to come and join us. They're big arenas, and each city has its own little way, doesn't it? Each city adopts a player in a strange way as well. I mean, you go to Ireland, and they absolutely love the Barneys and the Van Gerwens, and you think, you know, it's so lovely that you see this great rapport between, you know, foreign countries, if you like. No, there is no city that really holds anything special. However, you know and I know, the World Championship for me, because it's special, it's the Worlds in London, you know.
Christmas time, party
Christmas
atmosphere.
time, you know, it's got everything, hasn't it? And we have all worked so hard for that to be so very, very special. And that's what makes that special. It's everybody's input. In London, Christmas, the greatest players in the world, dreams come true, don't they?
Yeah. Well, John, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Hopefully we will have you back tomorrow evening once you've walked on the third and fourth quarter-finals, sorry.
Yeah, do swing by again, John. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, we will get. You know I do, Chris, because if you don't enjoy this business, there's something wrong with you. You know, they're the testament right out there. Every ticket sold on this event from day one. So, you know, that tells you something. We're doing something right.
Well, John, thank you very much for joining us. We will speak to you tomorrow. Make sure you get your questions in. Freddie has asked us how he can win any prizes that are going. We want the best interactions coming in, and we're going to pick a winner for a signed World Matchplay programme at the end of the evening. John, we will just cut to a shot of the arena, I believe. If you want to exit to the stage, right?
Pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Colin,
see you tomorrow, guys.
Thank you, John.
Enjoy it.
Top man, John McDonald, isn't he, Lewis?
Chris, while Lloyd joins us again, I believe. Oh no, we've got Chris Mason.
Mason joining us now.
Chris Mason.
Real little open house, isn't it, here today?
It really is.
There he is.
Well,
how are we doing, chaps?
Welcome. Can you hear us?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, well, we are live. We are live on YouTube, so
I won't swear.
Perfect, perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. Well, let me just quickly explain what it is we're doing here. Live watch along. People are watching along with us at home. We're trying to act like the mates down the pub or in the living room. They've got the live scoring widget just down there. Well, water.
Lloydie keeps nipping off and not bringing anything
I know,
back.
I know.
Good product placement.
That is
I like
great
it.
Product placement. We've learned from the very best. But you've been watching the action all week. You've been commentating for TalkSport. What a match play we've had so far.
Yeah, it just keeps better and getting better and better. And we've had 6 previous winners, different winners, and now we're going to get a 7th and a new winner and a new name on the trophy. It's just the total evolution of our sport. We went from having sort of one dominant force in Taylor, and everybody was playing catch up, and now we have sort of 10, 12, maybe 15 players that are of all equal ability, and it's just great for the game.
This has been a great evening of darts so far as well. Chris Dobey's sitting pretty at the moment, 6-4, but it is tense, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like he's hanging on. I mean, the better player looks like Aspinal. He's the one with the better average, 104 plus. But yeah, he's been clinical and taken every opportunity that he's been given, Dobey. And yeah, I expected it to be a really tight match, so not particularly shocked.
What about the first match? You commentated on the radio for TalkSport 2. Cullen did the damage in the first session, didn't he?
Yeah, and that 5-leg gap was the difference at the end. You know, if you take away those first 5 legs, it's 11-all. But when you're in that position, I was really impressed with Joe. He's matured as a player, and what he didn't do, what he may have done a few years ago, was panic when the gap was closed. And you could almost see him playing with that little comfort cushion of, okay, no panic. And every time he got close, he put in a sequence of 14s and 14s, 13s and 13s, and re-established that gap. And mentally, Gurney was just sort of frazzled by the end of it.
Well, we will talk about your Blackpool memory shortly. We have got a clip to play. Unfortunately for you,
I wonder which clip it is. I wonder which clip it is.
You may have seen this a few times, Chris.
I wouldn't actually. I wish I had royalties on it. I wouldn't mind it £1 for every time it's been shown.
Well, there was a lot of royalties rewarded for the 9 darts. We're going to take a look at Taylor's 9 darts against you. You shared the space just talk us through being there at this moment.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment. Backstage, we'd both hit one. We were practicing side by side. You know, we could have practiced at either ends of the room, but we were just sort of chatting over what had been going on in the match play so far. And yeah, we were actually confident. And one of Phil's friends had actually gone and had a bet on him hitting a 9-darter in this particular match, and Yeah, once that second one had gone in, and he was pointing to the person who'd had the bet on the 9-darter going, and I actually was just trying to keep the same rhythm so he felt comfortable. And I mean, at this stage, you know, I was quite happy to be at 2 apiece with him, and I thought, well, you know, if I can get into the first break at only 3-2 down, but he did it exactly the same in the practice room about an hour before. I mean, that was a bit lucky.
Yeah, historic moment though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the first one live on British TV, of course. Sean Greatbatch hit one live on Dutch television. Actually, not that too far before him. And of course, the ones before, the John Lowe one and the Paul Lim one, they were all pre-recorded. And yeah, it was great to be part of Phil's history as well. It was a great moment. I played lovely in that match. I averaged pretty much over 100 throughout the whole match and got absolutely thumped 16-7.
We'll come back to that shortly, but Chris, Nathan Aspinall's just gone back within 6-5. Very important that he stays close to Dobey here.
Yeah, 16 dart leg, good stuff from him there. Doesn't need to break just yet, but he started the next leg 180. He might get that break of throw, and this is how close it is at this point. If Aspinall does that, then of course him throwing first in the next leg, he's effectively taken control of the match. So look, we're talking 9 darters. What about if we saw one right now on the PDC Dart Show watch along for the first time? 180 to start from Aspinall. Here comes another one. Go on, Mace, talk it in.
Well, that was jinx. Yeah, and listen, this was always going to be a great match, a great friends, and all they'll be focusing on. You know, sometimes when you play someone you don't get on well with, you can sort of get too emotionally invested, and these two are just giving us an absolute show of top quality darts. And like I say, at the moment it does feel like Dobey's just hanging on.
What do you make of the tweet on screen here from David Steele? He says, I know Dobey and Aspinall are good pals, but he doesn't like all the fist bumping on stage. Wouldn't see MVG or Price doing it. Their relationship is a bit different, but do you agree?
Yeah, I don't know really. I suppose that's how the game has changed. We did, back in the day, you'd sort of acknowledge a great leg or a great shot, but nowadays it's just become a bit of a trend. I put it this way, I don't think it affects the quality of darts. If something was then affecting the standard of the game, then you probably say, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. But they're both comfortable with each other. They practice with each other. They're good pals. Think back to the World Cup. There's a lot of people that can't understand, you know, the team's engagement. But having played in the World Pairs, you know, when someone hits a bad score, you sort of just, you know, come on, pal, don't worry about it. And the two people with the best relationship and who were the most dynamic together were the team that won it, in Johnny Clayton and Gezi Price.
Aspinall's in position here to get that breaker throw, 25. Big visit this could be. I know it's early. He's been the better player in the match, as you said, May, so he'll keep getting frustrated and not taking these chances.
Yeah, and as you get closer to the winning line, these chances get exaggerated because you're desperate just to close that gap and get in front, and then really try to sort of dominate the match and control it, like what we've seen with Joe Cullen. As I was saying, it was a great display of this format and match play darts and just controlling the game and the tempo of the game, and he showed great maturity there. You know, he was obviously disappointed to be left out of the Premier League, as well documented, but he seems to have come back better and mentally better.
And this could turn a little bit more in Dobey's favour here, starting at 180 in leg 13. Aspinall, though, might follow in kind. Back-to-back 140s.
Well, keep your questions and comments coming in on the YouTube channel for us. Plenty of questions coming in for Chris Mason. One we got here from Lee Seymour.
Hang on a minute. Oh, 5 perfect darts. They're building up, they're getting closer to it.
Jinxie Joe.
Jinxie Joe indeed, but quickly cut in. Do you think we will see one in this tournament?
Yeah, I said at the top of the show when we were on TalkSport on Saturday that it just had a feeling, because when I was doing some research for this and then, you know, calculating the 180s and the amount of 180s are being hit coming into it, you know, that's basically all you need in terms of a recipe to get that 9, and we've been 6 and 7 in.
And it came in the semis last year, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Plenty of time.
Well, Lee Seymour asks, he hears you talking about this a lot, Chris, but are you pleased to see the current crop of players taking their personal health more seriously compared to players back in the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why you'll see players with a bit more longevity than we did back in the day. We went through a period, especially in some of the Euro Tour events and the ITV events, where you get the 3 games on the same day. It's exhausting for the players. Again, not necessarily physically, but mentally. But the more physical fit you are, the fresher you're going to be. And we've seen over the years that the levels on finals day increase as Aspinal closes the gap to 1 again, trails 7-6.
Yeah, after Dobey had missed the dart as well, so that really could have been a big gap there. But Aspinal, you could see from the reaction as well that he knew it was a big leg.
And again, it's like any sport; it's tiny increments make up a big improvement.
But you've seen that in other sports as well. Golf, for example, they're monsters now. They're huge guys, and in darts, it's going that way. It's important, as you say, long days to keep. And Rod Harrington was a champion of this. For a long time, he talked about the importance of being healthy, and you see. Gurren Price, he went out this week to Joe Cullen, but
look at the players that are still in.
Exactly.
Just look at all of them.
Younger guys, they're all looking after themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not carrying any timber, and again it's two-folded. Look at Luke Humphries and Ross Smith. Both of them shed a ton of weight, started exercising. Even simple things like yoga just for your stability, because it's all about being stable and staying in control. And we've seen with players, I'm going to use Ross Smith as an example, but he almost emptied the tank in the early stages of that match, if not physically, but mentally. And again, it's all those aspects that, in darts it was sort of laughed upon, but, they're playing for millions of pounds.
Question here from James Smith. We haven't really talked too much about Michael van Gerwen. Why has he struggled to be as dominant here?
What a guide on this bullseye for the 1-3-2.
We'll see this leg out, and then we'll come back to this question from James Smith. But an important one about Van Gerwen here at the match play.
Yeah, he took out the 1-3-2 himself earlier on, didn't he? 1-6-4 for Dobey, not going to go.
Went for the 2 treble 19s, which seems the most traditional route now. Picks off 2 bullseyes just in case.
Every leg, they've both been in it, haven't they?
Yes.
They've both been with each other all the time.
Gets the single 9 for double 8. Pins the double 8. We've got a game on our hands, 7 apiece.
Level, 7 apiece.
Aspinal would love to go into the break 8-7 up.
And that is huge, isn't it? That psychological blow early on, or halfway stage by now.
Yeah, all square.
So we'll go back to that question then about Michael van Gerwen. Chris, you were saying, Chris Murphy, you were saying earlier that you're a bit surprised that Van Gerwen hasn't won more here.
More match players, yes. Only 3.
Well, you could say that about the World. I mean, I didn't win any, but to say he's only got 3, it is.
He had that dominant spell when he was incredible. But you were saying earlier, Murph, about the playing field now is so widespread, isn't it? Anybody can beat anybody, and they expect to.
And he won his 3rd one last year as well, Van Gerwen. So that's only one since Phil Taylor stopped playing.
And he's also come into this tournament off the back of a difficult dental surgery, which, although he played incredibly in Poland, which was something we didn't expect to see, it must be taking its toll.
Yeah, and he spoke about how it's something that sort of affected him because it's a physical thing, but the pain he must be. And I've seen some of the dental X-rays, and he just had some dental work that he needed doing.
But major work.
Really. Yeah, major. Yeah, it was a dual realignment thing, and it completely cracked the top gum. So much so he could put his thumb up there. It's horrendous, and all those things factored, and the fact that, listen, don't take anything away from Dolan. I mean, MVG averaged over 98 in that game.
Played all right, didn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't like he had an absolute stinker, and the finishing from Dolan was good. Listen, Marvin Agler said a great thing. It's tough to get up at 6 a.m. on a cold, wet morning when you're in silk pajamas. And listen, I think that element has certainly played his part. He's got a young family, and he's just not. Listen, no one loves winning more than Michael. And I just think that combined with the level of play now across the board, we see it all the time. The players, because they're playing so frequently, when I would play in a match play and lose, you'd be 4 months, 5 months time until you get another crack at something. These guys now, right, on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one, and you've now got, you know, a huge field. Just look at the running averages in the Pro Tour.
Yeah, wow.
You know, from 1 to 50, it's staggering.
It looks like Aspinal is going to go in the break ahead here. He's still averaging 103 in this match after 15 legs.
However, you are seeing biting on the dart. It's usually a sign of a bit of tension, isn't it?
That was a tailor tell, wasn't it?
Wow. It was.
Double 16 for Aspinal, shuffling across. Oh, wrong side. Big dart. Dobey waiting on a double himself. This time, he takes his chance.
Huge. And that is massive. In at the break, 8-7.
And this is the difference with these type of formats and these type of games. Having that break now won't really suit Nathan. He would have liked to have stayed out there. But Chris Dobey will have stewing time where he'll be backstage thinking what could have been or how could I have avoided being 8-7 down. But the match is far from over.
Well, let's talk about your Blackpool memories. What was your favourite thing with your time as a player in Blackpool? Was it one of your favourite tournaments? Did you enjoy it here?
Yeah, my favourite tournament, my favourite venue. I loved the format. We were still playing short course darts back then, sort of best of sevens, best of fives. So we never really got the opportunity to play, you know, the purest form of the game over a long format. And in 1994, I won a competition in the darts world. It was sponsored by Proton Cars to win 2 VIP tickets to the final. And I just started to get back playing then after sort of packing it in when I was 16, 17. And I spoke to Tommy Cox, and he was sort of giving us the tour, and I said, oh, I'll be here in a couple of times, and a couple of years, and he laughed.
He was a tournament director.
He was the tournament director, bless him. And yeah, a couple of years later, I played my great pal Alan Warner in the first round. He did me 10-8 in the tiebreaker, but still had a great time. It was just, it was an eye opener, and just being on, you know, just being in a tournament with all the legends, because they were all still playing then, and yeah, thoroughly loved the place. I think one of my favourite games. Well, there was a couple. Well, there was three. Two I lost, and one I won. Beating Steve Aspinall and Dobey, and we talk about longevity. He was here again. It was his 22nd appearance, wasn't it, this week? Yeah, played him in the quarter-final, beat him 13-6 with a good average, 97 odd, and then had an absolute barnstormer with Ronnie Baxter. I lost 13-11. Had a great game here with John Lowe. He went 11-12 in the final 2 legs of the match. We were locked at 11-all, and he went out 11-12. That was a great experience. I played Taylor again here. We were 10-all after 20 legs. Didn't see him in the next session. He did me 16-11. But yeah, just so many great moments. A couple of great wins over John Part here. Beat Richie Burnett 10-1 here in round 1. Yeah, it's just, I just love the place. And some places that sort of final drive coming into Blackpool, it just made me tingle. I loved playing here, and I love coming back.
Well, a reminder that you can get in contact via Twitter. Use the hashtag WMDarts or TDS Watch Along. Adam Aitken was on screen just now asking you your best ever game. Nice.
Probably beating Barneveld at Lakeside, and a rare 100+ average there, because there's not been too many over the years. That was pretty epic. I had a great one against Andy Fordham at the Lakeside in the Embassy that I just managed to get over the line, and that was a real tough game, and one that sort of goes underrated really in terms of matches at the Lakeside. But I don't know. I've had so many. I've been blessed to be involved in some absolute epics, and you know, not often being on the right end of them, but you know, you've still got to be good enough to get there, and still got to be good enough to create a great game.
And what about in the second stage of your career as a commentator and pundit on ITV and on TalkSport 2? Any games that you've commentated on that really stick out as, wow, that was incredible?
Yeah,
loads.
Yeah, absolutely loads. The Gezi, most recent one, the Gezi Prize final year against Mensa was incredible.
What about that World Final last year as well? It's got to be up there, isn't it?
Yeah, the World Final last year with that incredible leg with the 9-darter. The Peter Wright one against Michael Smith, where he just surged those those 8 legs where he was averaging close to, I think it was close to 118. But yeah, just
too many to
yeah,
count.
there's just too many.
This could turn into a bit of a classic
really?
as well. 8-7 at the minute in Aspinall's favour. Dobey throwing first. It's got all the makings of not just going the distance, but going overtime, long into the night.
Won this week, Luke Humphries against Dirk. I mean, that was absolutely sensational.
For different reasons as well.
We saw it go all the way to a tie-break. Incredible standard up to that stage. That first leg after the tie-break was one to forget for both.
Yeah, I'm pretty old school. Listen, we do a lot of work away from the pro side of the game, and if you get a game, listen, we love seeing the record-breaking averages and everything else. But 2 guys averaging sort of 90s, mid-90s, and it's just toe-to-toe stuff is sport, and it's enthralling. And I think sometimes we sometimes get carried away with wanting to see the 110 and 150. They are amazing when they happen, but I still love an old-school battle here at the match.
Well, that match you just mentioned, every visit was, your eyes were prized to the screen, because either player could hit a 180 or a 45 at any point. It just seemed one of those types of games.
There was nothing in the middle, was there? It was all or nothing. If the first dart was going, it was usually all 3 of them in, and it's listen, there's just so many good games nowadays because the standard is so good, and you'll see him play. Well, look at this one. This is a perfect example. Locked together. It's looking like it's going to go 8-8 in Dobey's favour.
We just saw a bit of sort of angst from Aspinall around his action.
That would have been a 12 darter for
It's
Dobey.
not been a great leg for Aspinall here, straight after the break. Dobey looking to go level.
Well, May said it, didn't he? He said that Aspinall wouldn't have wanted the break to come then. I know sometimes it can be a cliche, but you've been in that position. You just want a leg, big raw. You want to keep
your
adrenaline
is firing. You're absolutely feeling $1 million, and you've got to go off. And then, and more often than not, you'll see the break. You'll see the leg off the break. Both players tend to just struggle a little bit, or you get back on and you hit the stage running. And that's the other element that people don't understand. You know, you're going into a cool environment, coming back out to a warm environment. The 180s are absolutely flying now.
It didn't last long, did it? The little lull for Aspinall.
Yeah, there was a bit of a drought, wasn't there?
He's at 8 of those 180s.
I mean, he's at 8 in each of the games he's played so far, Aspinall.
Won every other leg in this match, 8 apiece. And still averaging up at 102.
Yeah, and he's held that from start to finish, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Question here from Michael Horrigan, Mace. He says, what do you make of Barney's return? And do you think he could ever get to the level to win a world title or a match play title, something at this level?
Listen, he's still got bags of ability. You know, some of the numbers we've seen of him, and you know, the fact that he managed to win a pro tour. He had a run at the Euro Tour, didn't he? Not too long ago.
Did first Sunday in 5 years. I think it was.
The problem he will have, and as you get a little bit older, it's keeping that focus match on match, and it's the relentless pressure from your Aspinalls, your Dobeys, your Michael Smiths, your Gezi Prices, Peter Wright, if he manages to get back somewhere near his best. Listen, it's tough for anybody. Look, we've lost the top 5 seeds before the quarterfinals.
It's been incredible, hasn't it? And one of them major names that dropped out was James Wade. Archie Addison here says, I mean, this is a bit preemptive, but he's asking, will James Wade retire, do you think? We've seen James Wade fall away before and come back and win big TV titles, so he's one you can never count out, is he?
I think very much like a boxer, once they utter those words of, well, maybe my time's coming to an end, and I'm thinking about, hanging them up. And James in recent times has mentioned it, that maybe it's coming to the end. And listen, he's one of the top 5 most successful dart players in PDC history, and he's had an incredible career. And I think he's in a position where I think he's happy with his achievements, and he should be. And he's another one. He can produce magical darts. Can he do it day after day after day after day and match after match? That's where it's going to be tough.
Dobey's just missed a couple of darts to break there. Aspinall landing double 2. He did get well ahead in that leg, a puff of the cheeks afterwards, but Dobey might look back at that one later on and think, maybe that was a key moment in the match.
Yeah, I think, and again, the players love this format, a race to 16, because you can correct the odd kind of mistake. What we've seen in our first quarter-final tonight, that once you've been gapped, you've not only got to worry about holding throw, you must find those breaks of throw, and again, at this level, it's super tough.
I mean, a number of tweets coming in. Seems to be a lot of support for Aspinall here.
Yeah, I think
he has a huge fan base, doesn't he?
Yeah, and listen, if you've only just started watching the game, there's nothing he does that you wouldn't like. He's he's got that street fighter mentality up on stage. There's absolutely no quit in him, and he is actually genuinely an absolutely top fella. Like he's universally liked by the players, and that tells you all you need to know. And it's just I said it in commentary the night. If I could play darts as one player around at the moment, I'd love to be able to play it like Nathan. I just love his attitude.
Yeah, tenacity.
Yeah.
Defiance.
Gutsy.
And sometimes, I said this to Colin Lloyd earlier, because of those qualities are so standout, it's overlooked, in fact, how good his ability is.
Yeah, he is some player. You know, he's got levels to his game as well. And we've seen him at astronomical averages and big finish. There's no element of his game where you could sort of, you know, if you were playing top trumps with dart players, you know, there's nothing in there that you'd sort of pick up on and go.
Yeah, it'd be like 8 on everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right across the board, yeah.
And the walk-on helps get the fans on side. It's a great walk-on, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, in football, they say about it being the 12th man. In darts, it's like having the 4th dart. You know, it just gives you that lift. And listen, I've been on the end of both, where you know, I was supported, and then, you know, when the game started to change a little bit, and you know, the crowd would let you know what they were feeling. It is super tough when they're not on your side.
What do you think then of one of the players we're going to see tomorrow, Damon Heta? What do you think of what he's doing here?
Yeah, listen, I've been championing Damon Heta, but I've also, you know, I seen an interview he did for Sky where he was, you know, a little bit peeved at the fact that he gets criticised by commentators and pundits. It's not a criticism. I say I tend to avoid having an opinion. This sport gives us all the data and all the numbers you need not to worry about having an opinion. And his level of play, if you take the last 20 TV tournaments and match it up in terms of performance level to what he does on TV, they're night and day. They're night and day. So it's not that, listen, I absolutely rate him. I think if he does make that transition, and we've seen it before, it takes some players, they do it in an instant. Other players, it takes them a couple of years to have that confidence.
Wow. Murph, talk us through that. That was incredible from Aspinall.
Yeah, Dobey's waiting on 80 there. Aspinall, he's got the lead, trying to break, 92. Goes the modern way now, which is avoiding the ball straight for the treble 20. Missed it, hit the single. Back up his 2 double 18s, and he's nailed them on a pinhead.
And again, that sort of stuff, it looks a bit flamboyant, but it's a big target to go for. The doubles, people don't use them enough sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It statistically makes sense. It's the bigger target. These players are so good and so accurate at following darts 2, dart 3, that if they hit the 1 double, the likelihood is they're going to follow it, and they do more often than they don't.
That's why we'll see, like we saw Dirk and other players
double
19 twice rather than 2 different doubles as well.
What has really changed now, that it's something that's quite prominent, and me and you talk about it a lot, that how far in front they're thinking in the legs, and this has mainly come from the European players, hasn't it?
Yeah, your 306s, 303s, 309s.
And well, now, but they're doing things earlier in the leg to avoid being in those situations, and you're seeing a lot now when they're on 75 with their last dart, or 84, they'll go for the ball to make sure that the setup dart isn't going to encroach their target dart for tops.
Yeah, more love coming in on Twitter for Nathan Aspinall. Chris Dobey, he's got plenty of fans out there as well. Like you talk about Aspinall, Dobey is a nice character, isn't he? He's a lovely person to be around. As you see, they're good friends. He's one of the good guys on the tour, isn't he?
Yeah, and another example of the sort of the change in look of a dart player. He's a guy that doesn't drink when he plays. Very level-headed, really nice fella, great company, but more importantly, an absolutely fabulous player. That when he's absolutely on it, it's tons of 180s. Didn't do him justice in the Premier League, and it was one of those things after the Masters. You know, I know he's not a particularly young man, but was he ready? And I think on reflection, not quite sure.
I think Aspinall might be making his move here though. 10-8 up, 114 left. Dobey not on a check out, so he's got all the time here to lead by 3 legs, and that could be a big gap at this stage of the match.
Yeah, and he'll be conscious that he'll want to get that gap and then really start to kick for the line.
Well, he'll come back looking to take out double 10 and get that.
And again, it's the emotional effect on Dobey where he will start to hit the panic button and think, right, I'm in a world of trouble here. He's not being allowed to play with any kind of freedom.
Yeah, and it's in as well, so there it is, 11-8. Nathan Aspinall maybe, just maybe, is starting to make a sprint for the finish.
And I think that's one element of Nathan's game that's superior to Chris's right now. It's that ability that he won't panic when he's behind. He'll just continue to fight and battle.
Let's quickly touch on the other side of the draw, the 2 games we've got tomorrow night. Ryan Searle having a great run here, taking on Johnny Clayton, who's probably the most experienced man left in the field in terms of winning. And then Damon Heta, we talked about, playing Luke Humphries. It's an exciting night of quarter-final action, isn't it, tomorrow?
Yeah, it's really, really exciting. For me, I see Humphries, after a little bit of a wobble yesterday, just having too much for Heta in terms of he can afford the wobble in a longer format. Maybe not 5-0 wobble like we saw from Daryl Gurney, but yeah, I singled out Humphries to reach at least the semi-finals before the tournament started anyway. I'm not going to shy away from that. Although, Mason, I have been wondering, is it now he's been made favourite, is that a weight that might weigh heavy?
Yeah, well, and I know about I was favourite to win the Worlds in 2000, and yeah, it's a totally different feeling. You just get added pressure, and it's going to be a heavy weight on his shoulders. But listen, he's won so many of them Euro Tours and Pro Tours. I know this is different, but he's used to playing him on big stages in front of big crowds. I think he'll handle it okay. I think the Ryan Searle's been a revelation. He has been absolutely brilliant. Great to see Clayton bounce back last night. I think the first game's a bit of a coin flip, and I think. And I think if Heta doesn't keep, within close proximity of Humphries is that type of player. He's a bully up there, and he that relentless scoring power. I think you're right. I think he can get away from him and just have a little bit too much.
Dobey's left tops here, but he doesn't like that marker. That's after Aspinal had just missed the ball for a 1-6-7. He could have a 4-leg lead here though, because Dobey's found double 5.
That was very close from Aspinall, wasn't it? You had to interrupt Mace there, but 1-6-7 just outside the bullseye.
And that's the problem with darts that sit up when you need 60. There's a blocker as Nathan Aspinall goes to the break with a 4-leg cushion, 12-8.
12-8 up. I mean, a big session there for Aspinall. He's looking very good now, isn't it? 4 legs to go.
Yeah, won the session 4-1, and again, I know it's not set play, obviously, but what you do on these days, quarterfinals and semi-finals, you break it down into mini sessions, and you almost treat it like sets.
And crucially, we're seeing Chris Dobey stay on stage there. That's what does that indicate?
He could feel a bit tight. He could feel a bit edgy. He would just want to throw some darts just to stay loose and stay in that bubble, stay in the environment. Some players it doesn't suit going off. Some will stay up. Aspinall now is thinking, right, happy days. He'll go back there now, feeling like $1 million.
Has he just had the session in the 4th session of the match that Joe Cullen had in the 1st session of the match?
Yes.
And one session can be the difference, can't it?
Yeah. Well, now Nathan will be allowed to play with freedom, and as we know, when a player is relaxed, that's when you'll tend to get the best out of them.
Mace, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
We'll have one final question just as Lloyd readies himself to be back on stage here. Back on the sofa.
Back on the stage? I'd rather watch this.
Out of all the players who haven't won the World Championship yet, who do you think will be the next on the Roll of Honour?
Good question. Who do I think will be next? I have to say Luke Humphries. I think we're just starting to see the best of him, and I think he's just starting to. My only doubt would be he does get a little bit emotionally invested. He can drop his head quite quickly when it's not going his way. And
yeah, I saw that last night.
Yeah, and that's coming from someone who was the worst in the world for doing it. And you know, it's easy now to reflect and try and give advice to these players coming through. If he manages the mindset, I think Luke Humphries could be one of those who could win multiple majors.
Well, thank you very much, Mason, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Great insight into the sport, and this game is finally poised. Nathan Aspinall's looking
I will not
good.
be taking my eyes off it.
Okay, we'll just cut to the beauty shot there. Mason's going to leave us. I think Colin Lloyd is ready himself to get back on the sofa
tomorrow.
But we will speak to Mason again, I imagine, tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll find out what game he's commentating on TalkSport 2. If you do want to listen to the darts, if you aren't able to watch, TalkSport 2 is the place. If you want to watch Sky Sports, host of international broadcasters, PDC TV, look on the PDC website and on PDC Twitter. There's a graphic detailing exactly where you can watch the match play. And on the bottom of each tweet, I think there's a little link that will click through to show where you can watch. But joining us again, Colin Lloyd. Lloydie.
Still hasn't brought the crisps.
I know.
Dips
We were talking, what? Surely we're thinking a slice of pizza or something. Chris is famished.
Honestly, I couldn't eat another thing.
Wow.
The chicken nuggets downstairs, the pizza, everything.
But Lloyd, I presume you've kept one eye on this game.
I have, yes.
Aspinall, a great fight back in that session, took it 4-1, gone into the break 12-8 up.
Yeah.
Dobey has stayed on stage. We saw Gurney do that when he was losing at roughly this stage in the last match. How do you see it going from here?
Listen, we spoke about Nathan before the match even started. I think momentum's all with Nathan now. I mean, you just look at Nathan, look, he looks cool as a cucumber. There's not a bead of sweat on him. Whereas when you look at Chris, poor old Chris there, he's got a little bit sweated up on when the camera's zoomed in on him a little bit. The old sweat buds are up on whatever. And the pressure's all on him now. He was in, I'm not going to say in total control, but he was looking smooth, looking good. And then all of a sudden, Nathan does what Nathan does. He has them little spurts of brilliance, and they put you on the back foot. And Chris has got a little bit of an uphill struggle here now, I think.
Yeah, starting to fade a little bit. Although as I say that, I found a couple in the treble 20, but yeah, it looks like he's starting to fade a little bit, and I think he might even need to win this leg. But it's going to be unlikely because Aspinall's just slammed in a max. Just one little cause for concern though. Aspinall, as he retrieved his darts there, he looked like he wasn't actually comfortable. He's had that injury. These are long, taxing matches, and that's happened in front of Dobey. Maybe it just gives him something to feed off.
It was a wrist injury, if I'm not mistaken, which plagued him for a while. I don't know if he had surgery on it, but it was a real difficult one to manage for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had to stop playing golf, didn't he, and stop doing other things, not practice as much. He hasn't been to an awful lot of Pro Tours this year either, resting it. So this will be a test for him, and he'll want to get it done as quick as possible. So taking that nice 81 out will really be a bit of a relief. But now a 5-leg cushion, which is what
has anyone ever thought of this a little bit of a mind games thing?
Well, I mean,
all my wrist hurts again as I'm just creaming.
Are you speaking from experience?
Listen, mate, I weren't classy enough to do that. I always showed my emotions.
That's true, but yeah, 13-8, 3 away, Dobey 5 away from him. It looks like he's got maybe a bridge too far.
Yeah, he's looking quite silky now, is Nathan. And you know what? It doesn't look like he's in top gear, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like he's in top gear, and he's doing enough, and he's in control now, and he knows he's in control. And Chris there, a little bit of a shake of the head, not happy. And Joe, fellas, that's the one thing that amazed me now. You guys know I do a little bit of spotting with Sky and whatever. It always amazes me why they're trying to search for that treble 20. I know it's 3 points less, but the treble 19 is there. It's that big. It's sitting there. It's empty. It's open. Why do they always have to go across the hockey to search for that number?
Yeah, we haven't asked you about that job actually, Lloyd. He's spotting. I know viewers at home will, some will know what it is, but some won't. Just explain that a little bit.
Basically, I try to advise the director where the players are going to be going next with their shots. So, I'm just saying, they're not on it, but just say, for instance, 82. Predominantly the players will go bullseye double 16, so I'll be there with my microphone saying bullseye double 16, if it's the 25, 17 tops, and then keeping the 14s, treble 14 tops. The one thing about it is, Chris, I can call numbers. I like to think I've been a decent counter in my time on the dartboard, but I'm not a mind reader.
Yeah.
So and I say that.
So it's about prediction, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you're in the throes of a match, your mind goes a little bit wayward. You know, you'll go for a different shot to what you usually go for. Why do you do that? I don't know. Have you watched Nathan Aspinall there? It's just a little bit closer. 14-8 up now, only 2 legs away.
That's a 1:16 checkout.
Yeah,
those big shots are big moments.
And it's a run of legs, this, isn't it? For to be fair, Lloyd was talking about counting. I've lost count of how many that is on the spin for Nathan Aspinall, but was he?
Well, he got
it.
It
Was
to
8 each, wasn't it?
12-8
But was it 8 each at one point, wasn't it?
It was, I believe so.
Yeah, so 6 legs on the spin.
It went into the break 8-7, and then the following break 12-8.
Yeah, so yeah, very, very good little late rally from Nathan Aspinall, and Dobey powerless at the moment to do anything about it.
Joe, ain't it funny at this later stage? Nathan's still there, just shaking his shirt, big smile on his face. I think we know who's the most relaxed out of the 2 players.
Yeah, well, one player needs to find something or hope that his opponent just goes completely missing again. Though a low dart from Aspinall, and he's just again having a look at his action.
I have to say that did look like a little bit of a wince, dare I say it.
Well, no pain, no gain, but he might be about to gain a place in the semi-finals against Joe Cullen. Dobey trying to put up a fight, that will help. You can probably hear the voice of George Noble in the background, unmistakable.
Well, George Noble, as we know, is a long-running joke about games going the distance when he's refereeing.
Yeah, might be a few more legs in this one. Yeah,
Dobey's got a long way to go here, but we have seen it happen a lot before.
Well, this could be the rot stopper, couldn't it? And it is. Finally gets a leg on the board, just stops that little losing streak.
You could see the emotion on his face there, almost nothing other than where's that been for the last 7-8 legs.
It was a breaker throw as well.
All of a sudden, if he holds here, goes within 4, gets to double figures himself, a little bit of pressure on Nathan could start to build, couldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, and you could just see Nathan taking his time there because he's just on that rally and it's stopped. Again, it shows his temperament. He's a bit of a mentality monster, isn't he, Nathan Aspinall? He knows exactly how to wring out the best in his ability, and he's going to try and just close this out. That shouldn't be something that should worry him. Just shake it off, get on with the next one.
That's right.
It's his to lose.
He's one of those players, you've commentated on him a number of times. He's one of those people, I think he's one of the only players that can do it actually. His arm's already up and set and he's drawing it back to go and he'll just stop and you think, how on earth have you done that? Oh, I could never do that.
Yeah.
If the dart was going and I felt it move a little bit in my fingers, it just carried on
Still
going.
do it, yeah, but if he knows he doesn't feel right, he will correct it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. And he's playing, still averaging over 100 in this match, Aspinall. 14-9 to the good now, race to 16. Winner, of course, to play Joe Cullen in the semi-finals.
Will that play on your mind? You know your semi-final opponent. You know that it's Joe Colin. You know it's probably, for these guys, it's one of their best friends. They're going to be, these two are one of the best friends on the tour.
And then the tournament goes on. Yeah, well,
you just got to worry about the job in hand. Job's not over yet. Yes, he's 14-9 to the good, but I keep saying it. Darts is a funny old game. He can swing in a sixpence.
There we go. Look, from 6-3 behind, Aspinall won 9 of 11 legs. The red bit on Twitter there. That's a remarkable rally.
And those little spells really hurt, don't they, from Chris Dobey? He felt in command, I imagine.
Yeah, well, any other tournament, it's game over anyway, isn't it? With a run like that. Just the extended format in this and the Grand Slam. Set play at the Worlds or the Grand Prix, you've reeled off enough sets if you're winning that amount of legs. So
the thing about this match, I think I said it in the previous game, it's a case of now, one's within touching distance and he might put a little bit of pressure on himself. The other one's thinking to himself, I'm so far behind, I've got nothing to lose now. All of a sudden, one person's arm's just loosened up, the other one's is just tightening up a little bit. and all of a sudden those big trebles as they were then gradually start getting a little bit smaller, because you think to yourself, hang on a minute, how comes I can't hit anything anymore? I was playing lovely earlier.
Yeah,
so there's that little bit of pressure on it.
He's at that point of no return as well now, isn't he, Dobey, where Aspinall's 2 away from the win. He cannot afford to let him get to 15 out of 16.
Well, keep getting your messages in. We haven't got long left in this game. We don't think, if Nathan Aspinall continues on the path that he's on. But keep getting your messages in for Lloyd. We'll have a few more questions at the end of play.
Yep.
And it might be Nathan Aspinall taking on Joe Cullen in that first semi-final.
Well, all of a sudden
on Saturday.
180 there from Dobey, you know, he could break again here.
He's finding a barrage of 180s these last few legs now, Chris.
1, 2, 4.
This is one of them times where he does have to search for the treble 20.
Yeah, I'm not sure he would have gone for the bullseye had he hit the treble 18. Dobey there, but he hasn't left it as handy as he might have. 72, and Aspinall's just now appearing in his rear-view mirror. 115 if he gets a go. Big visit, I think, as to whether this match is going to go on a little longer or not. It's 1 dart at tops for Dobey, and it's over the top. Sorry, 110 for.
A little reminder that we will be picking a prize winner at the end of the evening for our favourite interaction. We've had some great stuff in so far, but keep them coming in. You could win yourself a signed Betfred World Matchplay programme from the 30th edition of the tournament. It'll be signed by the 2 finalists. We'll make sure we get that posted out at the end of the tournament. A great prize to win. But keep those interactions coming in. Keep tweeting us. Use the hashtag WMDarts or TDS Watch Along. Fire away at these two, because they're here for the next 3 days to answer your questions.
Will we be here for 3 more legs or not? They were poor darts, weren't they?
They were 3 pressure darts. They were 3 darts that you're saying to yourself, I have to hit it.
And Aspinall, a little bit of a smirk on his face. He thinks he's hit it before he's thrown it, and he was right.
Do you think Dobey would have seen that?
Well, it depends where you're looking, actually, doesn't it? Because you always say you stand behind the players, but there are big screens either side. You never know. Some players do watch them.
Do you know, Nathan there, look, I was going to say that he looks almost embarrassed that he's won that leg, because it was a leg that he really shouldn't have won. But I think the actual look like that was to say, right, one more push and I'm through to the semi-finals.
Yeah, it's 1 more leg, and Dobey, again, a really low dart on the treble 20. John McDonald's getting involved. Nice to have him in the studio a little earlier.
Well, he's mentioning that Ricky Hatton's here. We think he might be back again, and he might join us on this sofa. Lloyd, you might have to go again. Unless you want to sit next to him,
sure,
your boxing knowledge might be better than mine.
Well, I don't want to upset him. I'll let Lloyd stay.
If Ricky Hatton wants to take my seat, come and take it.
You're not going to fight him for it, are you?
No, I ain't getting up.
No.
He'll have to take me off it.
Well, he might have seen you punch a dartboard.
I ain't having it.
Well, that is true.
Listen, do you really think that's going to scare him?
You are about the only darts player that we've all seen throw a punch.
Listen, if Ricky Hatton wants to sit here, I'll go, yeah, Ricky ain't going.
Well, it might be the knockout blow here coming from Nathan Aspinall, because he kicked off what he hopes is the last leg of the match with a 180, and that's already going to make Dobey just start to think it's over.
Yeah. Well,
maybe not.
Well, the commentator's curse. Chris Murphy strikes again.
Yeah, I think Ricky Hatton can take my seat and just be a commentator, because I've got no idea what I'm talking about. We'll have a chance to win the match, though, when he comes back, Aspinall. That 140 leaving 81 to get the job done.
That's a great dart. Great dart.
Should have at least 1 match start here.
Yeah.
Is this the moment?
Treble 19, double 12.
Oh! Dragged into the 9s.
Oh!
Well, the reaction from Aspinall says it all as well. That was filthy.
When he hit that treble 19, I thought he would stop, because he usually stops and composes himself, doesn't he?
A little bit of a reprieve for Chris Dobey now. He's still got a mountain to climb, but the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first small step, and that could be it.
Perfectly timed, Chris. Double 16 there for Chris Dobey. Gets an 11th leg on the board. With Aspinall having that miss, that will play on his mind a little bit.
not just the miss, but the way he missed. But maybe actually he had time for it to happen, and next time he gets that chance, he might do what Lloyd suggested and just stop and take a moment.
That's a great way, though. A leg that you need to win to get you through to the semi-finals. A nice little 1-3-1.
Well, please keep your questions coming in. We will get to them at the end of play, but we'll see this game through first. Because if you're watching just with us, then we need to keep, of course, abreast of all the action as we reach the climax of this match.
Yeah, Aspinal, he doesn't look like... I mean, he's had that one terrible dart at double, but he doesn't look like a player that's going to falter at the finish, does he?
No, I don't think he is, no. But, do you know what? It might not take him to falter if Chris Dobey keeps throwing darts like this.
Dobey's doing all he can now, isn't he?
Yeah, 2-2-4 for him. Aspinal had 2-8-9 before this visit. 13 darter in the last leg for Dobey. I do get the sense, so it's one of the... And again, I don't know, but people say it, players say it, that sometimes you get so far behind that you relax and then you start to play your best stuff.
Yeah.
Dobey might be doing that, and then once it does get close again, suddenly, oh, I could win this, and the tension arrives and all that kind of stuff. But he has got an opportunity here.
It's an excellent visit there, isn't it, from Nathan Aspinall?
If he can tidy up this 84.
He's predicted it, and he's got 2 darts at double 12. Oh, lovely, lovely
needed one.
dart.
Lovely finish, acknowledged there by Nathan Aspinall. 15-12, is it within 3?
13 darter, 11 darter as well, so maybe he's having his little spell. We saw that. If he wins this one on throw, 2 legs behind, and then maybe, just maybe, there's a seed of doubt in Aspinall's mind. I don't think anybody would have thought he could turn it around from that position, but we have seen some remarkable comebacks in this tournament.
Well, those first 3 darts there from Chris Dobey, it's given Nathan an opening. Only 57 scored, he's already on 80. Nice little steady ton.
Nearly threw himself at the board with the last start there, Aspinall, didn't he?
He has got that in him, hasn't he? He sort of lunges towards with that last start sometimes.
Do you not find that when you see him bouncing, that's when you know he's playing well? When he's bouncing and bobbing along and he's on his toes.
Maybe it's them springy shoes they've both got.
The Go Fast silver stripes.
You going to get yourself a pair?
No. No.
All the darts have been low from Dobey in this leg. After such a good spell, it took him just, 24 darts to win 2 legs. He's had 9 in this one without a treble.
And that facial expression, I think, says it all.
Yeah, Aspinall can see the checkered flag as he comes round the final corner here.
Needs to fill it here, I feel.
That's not the one he wanted.
Darts.
Good recovery, couple in the treble 20, but is it too late? Doesn't leave him a finish. Aspinall's got 6 darts from 167 to win the match. First one in treble 20, not bothering even going for it.
He's got time on his side though.
Yeah, but we want him to win it in style, don't we?
True, it would be nice.
Did win his major title, didn't he, with a 170 finish? Can you think of anyone else who's done such a thing?
Tenanki.
Wouldn't know.
Colin Lloyd alongside me. The master of the 170, Nathan Aspinall, just 170. Ooh, the big one.
Well, that is not what he wanted.
Well,
see the disappointment on his face. He stepped in to have another look
now
at that, didn't
he? Yeah, now
he's got to
going to have to go for the bull in the end if it's a single here. So bullseye to win it.
Just outside. Wires the bullseye for the 70 finish. Now Chris Dobey taking a look at 112.
Oh, what a shot this would be. This would tell us a lot. That tells us everything. Big
Drags
one
it,
as well.
Drags it into the thin part of the one.
But he does have 25 left, Aspinall.
Yeah, he's got to waste a dart. Got to pick something off here.
Right. He's had one chance to win the match already. 25, 9 for double 8. Don't hit the treble, Nathan. Nearly hit the double.
Wow.
A bit ropey.
I think there's a bit of tension here.
Well, but he has done what you said. He has stopped now.
Yeah.
Taken a moment.
I think he'll hit this.
There you go. And there we have it, Lloydie. Celebrations from Nathan Aspinal. He is into the semi-finals. He will face Joe Cullen for a place in the final of the Betfred World Matchplay. Overall, a great performance against his close pal Chris Dobey. Wins it 16-12.
Yeah, really good display from Nathan Aspinall in the end. 99.33 the average. Is it 10-180s in the match? Again, he did something similar to what Joe Cullen did, which was won a session really big. That spell of 9 out of 11 legs. In fact, a couple of sessions he's just railroaded in the middle of the match, and Dobey's left with too much to do.
Yeah, it gives you as a player huge confidence when you're doing that, and you know full well that you're demoralising your opponent, because you're thinking to yourself, I'm not playing bad here, and I've just lost like 9 legs on the trot, and you think, what's going on? And it's just tough. Listen, we all know, we know the game. Chris Dobey will come back even stronger. He's a class player. He'll be happy with his week's work. He'd like to have gone further, but he's walked into a class performance from Nathan Aspinall. So,
back-to-back quarter-finals as well. 3 quarter-finals. He's finally got over that line as well.
Yeah. Well, can we have an early prediction for that semi-final on Saturday? Who's going to win out of Joe Cullen? Nathan Aspinall?
You don't want a lot, do you? Hey?
Well, we'll get there on Saturday then. If you want to stew on it.
No, honestly, I think it's going to be an absolute cracker.
It will be fast-paced, won't it, and a lot of energy on stage.
I mean, it's both put in a similar kind of performance tonight. Just that Cullen got out early. Gurney didn't really throw as much at him as Dobey did to Aspinall, certainly the first half of the match. It's very difficult to call. I might even need to sleep on it, Lewis.
Well, we'll speak about that tomorrow. It's been an incredible night of action here at the Betfred World Matchplay. That is day 6 wrapped up. Before we go, a little bit of housekeeping. Lee Seymour, we're going to pick you as our winner of the evening to win that signed programme. Your interactions throughout the night have been fantastic. For everyone else, come back tomorrow. We'll have 2 more incredible semi-finals. Ryan Searle taking on Johnny Clayton, and Damon Hector plays who? Chris Murphy?
Damon Hector plays Luke Humphries.
Luke Humphries, your pick for the title, exactly why I asked you.
I thought you were I was walking out there. I was going to see if Lloyd had actually left any slices.
Well, we'll find out if there's some food downstairs, but thank you for joining us for our first ever Dart Show watch-along. We hope you've enjoyed it. We will be back tomorrow for those 2 quarterfinals and the semi-finals and the final on Sunday. Join us then.